Hello, welcome back. Welcome back to the Spacebook Live, talking all out there entertainment and live streaming it to you on YouTube and Rumble and on X2. This is where you get pop culture discussed, debated, devoured, and debagged, all right here on the best channel that you'd never heard of. It's Saturday, the 9th of September, 2024, and this is our 100% real-time live stream. Got a lot to get stuck into as we go back on mission. I'm Dan Hadley, Birmingham's king of the geeks. And yes, this is how I'm spending a very sort of wet and drizzly and increasingly parky Saturday night. So you've got to feel a little bit sorry for me and come and join in with the fun here. Is it going to be fun? I think it could be fun because we've got a lot of things to talk about from across the genres here of all geeky entertainment. So steel yourselves and tune in, receive our signal. So yeah, this is how it's going to be. We're on a mission. We're going to take a spacewalk into the near future on this edition of the show. This is our proper comeback, returning to the platforms as the Spacebook Live, and you'll be happy to learn that some of our previous regular panelists have come back too. So it's great to be back. Can't wait to hear what they've got to say. First of all, okay, who's first? Of course, who else but that big old mega geek Ian David Diaz? This was all his idea in the first place.
It wasn't. Don't blame me.
This show was.
I'm back.
He's back.
Yeah,
you're back. Yes, how's your week been, mate? Good?
It's been all right. I've been working. It's been okay. It's been fine. I haven't seen any films recently, but I'm looking forward to a few. So there you go.
Yeah, tell us what you make of what we've got coming up, because that's what we're going to get stuck into. We're going to tune into what's forthcoming. But before we get that, we've got some more panelists forthcoming as well. So next up, back with us after a short stay with I think the men in the white coats, or the men and the women in the white coats and aprons. But he's back. He's back from his MOT, Mr. John Yulden.
Hey, how are we? All right?
Hello, mate. Good to have you back.
Yeah, I was good. They just wanted to clone me. That was all it was. So, yeah,
it's bound to happen eventually, buddy.
One John for every household.
That sounds like something to do with the red light district.
Yeah. Well, it could be perverted into that, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, it depends what kind of mind you've got, doesn't it? Really, I suppose. So well, we've got a lot to talk about, mate.
Yeah.
You're really into TV and movies and comics as well, aren't you? You're a proper full-blooded and full-bodied geek.
I am. I had to dump my childhood memories to retain all of this sci-fi geek knowledge.
Childhood memories.
Yeah. Long time ago, that.
Yeah, very long time ago.
You're still living your childhood, aren't you, Ian?
Me, I haven't grown up. That's the problem with me.
Yeah.
I really haven't grown up. I need to grow up, actually. But, in the meantime,
as the fourth Doctor said, what's the point of being grown up if you can't be childish from time to time?
Exactly.
What's that movie where that woman says the only thing that differentiates the men from the boys is the size of their toys? What's that?
Size of their toys. Is that does that mean something else? Who knows?
I think it's a line from Grease or some film like that. Roy. He'll figure it out. He'll figure it out. Okay.
John Dykester, is that John Dykester?
I thought it was Maurice Gibb from the Bee Gees.
Yeah, giving it a high pitch sing. Yeah.
When I was a kid, John Dykester was a hero of mine. I remember we had a little clique, right? We were all geeks. There was like four of us. We were geeks, and everybody else was talking about football and cars and clothes.
Yeah,
but we were talking about movies. And I remember the first time we heard John Dykester had teamed up with Doug Trumbull to do the effects for Star Trek. Our minds almost exploded. I remember that was the only thing we spoke about for the whole month, how that film was going to look.
You had a mega melt.
Brilliant.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Absolute hero. Well, happily, there are a couple more heroes waiting to come on. Okay, so next up, thrilled to have him back. He's been on a holiday from any kind of streaming at all, but he was a regular on the last batch of shows that we put out as the Spacebook Live, and I'm really happy to beam Bowles Trek back aboard the USS Spacebook. Hello, mate.
Hi.
Whoa.
Hey. What's up, y'all? How's it, what did the kids say? How's it hanging, yo, The homie.
Do the kids still say this? I was asking a child in my family this the other day. Does wicked still mean good, or is wicked now
no,
just some dopey musical?
Listen, it's something else. I was watching a film. It's an old film, Kate and Leopold with Hugh Jackman.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
With my niece, Jamie, and she really fancies Hugh Jackman. She was going to me. He's Sigma. I'm like, what? What does that mean? What? And apparently, Sigma means the top tier of anything. Apparently, in their language. So everything's changing again. All these words, all these new words are coming in.
I've been out of it for several decades. I'm happy in my grumpiness. I'm happy being stuck in the 80s and 90s. I refuse to acknowledge anything beyond that, other than like the 2 movies I'm excited for, which I know Dan has included. Yeah, and it's cold here. It's real. I was telling everybody before the stream, I hate turning on the heat because natural gas here is not cheap. So normally during the winter, during the day, I have it set at 19. At night, I have it set at 18. I haven't had the heat. I haven't had my furnace on since April. I did not want to put it on until November, but we had a bit of a cold stretch. So it had to get down to 16 in my house before I said words that will get Dan demonetized, so I won't say them. I had to turn it on. And you know how when you anybody that has like a natural gas furnace will know this. You know that the first time you turn it on for the season, you get that terrible musty smell.
Yes.
Oh, it's there. You know, it's that's my story. So it's cold. I got coffee. I don't know what's cool anymore. I don't care. I'm living in I've been living in the 70s because I've been making my way through Columbo and Rockford files again.
Columbo.
Nectar.
I love Columbo.
And Rockford
Absolute
Files.
nectar.
Jim Rockford.
Rockford Files is great as well. But Columbo's better.
So I'm living in the past. I refuse to acknowledge the present.
You may get a few surprises on this edition of the show, mate, because it is very much in the present, but I have included some white pills if the 21st century does prove a little too much for you.
Oh, I'm fine. Like I said, I'm excited for 2 movies. And Dan had actually already had them on the list, so I'm excited about that.
There you go.
And I'm sure there'll be some exciting stuff. I go into everything blind. I get them when they come out on Blu-ray at Walmart, so I can be surprised. And half the time I'm delighted. The other half of the time I'm horrified, not in the way they want. But yeah, so I'm going to shut up now because they don't want to.
Because I've got another panelist to bring on, believe it or not. Now, this guy's not been on the channel before, but I'm delighted to welcome him here for the very first time. He's got a fantastic name and a great voice. He's a little bit like, I like to think of him as the Mr. Kipling of pop culture coverage, and maybe you'll agree when you... What are you shaking your head for?
Just saying. I know this guy very well. Mr. Kipling is not the way to describe this man.
Well, maybe he makes exceedingly good conversation. We're going to find out with Z3PO here on the Spacebook Live.
Hello there, gentlemen. Pleasure to be here with you today.
Hey,
there you go. Yeah. What a build-up. Yeah, is this how you usually choose to spend a Saturday night, Z?
No, normally you spend my Saturdays in front of the TV watching other movies or TV with the missus. But I've made a special exception as we're going out tomorrow, and I may not be available. So
you don't? Oh, okay. I think you were saying you're going to get loaded and hit the red light district. But
I also plan to do that as well.
Excellent stuff. Well, this is a near second. We'll do our best to perk up your Saturday evening and warm you up for the missus, mate. So do our level best.
Pleasure.
So as we're getting to know you here very much on the show, Ian knows you quite well, but the rest of us don't. So what is it? What's your weapon of choice? Is it TV or movies, or is it comic books or gaming? Which ones do you do?
Actually, a little bit of everything. So, I'm still gaming. Unfortunately, I'm 20 years later. I'm still addicted to Unreal Tournament 2004 and still playing Capture the Flag, which is probably a reprehensible pastime for a 57-year-old droid.
There you go. We did it. Capture the Flag. What's that?
Oh, you just run into their base, kill as many people as possible, and take their flag, bring it back to your base.
You're a
Simple gaming.
proper gamer.
Oh,
Simple.
yes. Old
Yeah.
school.
The
Old school.
satisfaction is out of this world as well.
It is,
once
yeah.
you do capture that flag, fantastic stuff.
Yeah. Like I was watching my brother. My brother is a gamer, a big gamer. He plays this. What is it? Red Redemption, where this guy's riding a horse. He's riding everywhere. The adventure never stops. He just keeps going and going and going. I'm like, oh, how could you play this game? Bring me Galaxian any day, Christ's sakes. Yeah, but anyway.
Chucky egg, mate. Chucky egg.
Yeah. I like a game that you can finish off in about 45 minutes before Mum calls me down for my tea. That's how I was. I had a Vic 20 or a Spectrum back in the 80s. That was the level of my gaming. I think it pretty much peaked. I think it pretty much peaked with then. I thought cinema had peaked as well. I don't mind telling you, Z, I'd fallen out of love with going to the cinema a little while ago, and mainly because I went to see this. So the Batman a couple of years ago, Matt Reeves' take on the DC Comics character, the so hotly anticipated, starred Robert Pattinson, as I'm sure you're aware. When it finally came out, it was 2.5 hours of underlit, very sort of growly, absolute nonsense. And I hated it so much that I didn't go to the cinema for 2.5 years. Until a couple of weeks ago when Alien Romulus came out. And whilst I didn't exactly fall back in love with the cinema experience, I didn't have a shit time. So I've decided that I'm going to take the bull by the horns again and sort of give myself the gift of a regular cinema experience. And that's very much what this is all about. I didn't have the light from 101 mobile phones polluting my field of vision when I saw Alien Romulus. So that was a good thing. There was nobody sort of getting anybody else in a headlock. Nobody was dealing dope or anything like that. So it was a positive experience.
What do you go to?
No, that's why I stopped going. That's why I stopped going to the multiplex. All that was kicking off every time I went.
The Goodfellas cinema.
Yeah.
I did go to the one. Yeah, it's a big multiplex in Dudley. That could explain a lot.
Do you know what? This is me becoming, I would say, maybe I'm getting old and grumpy now, but cinemas, growing up, I always used to love, and everyone did it. You sat silently through the trailers. Yeah. And I love enjoying the trailers before the films. Everyone talks through the trailers now.
No fucker does that anymore. They're all chatting to one another. They're taking phone calls.
Yeah.
Watching videos on YouTube. They're watching us. Hi, if you're about to watch Alien Romulus.
But the reason why they do that is because all the trailers are played on YouTube and they've seen them all. So when it comes on a big screen, it's no surprise. That's why you talk through it.
And one other pet hate I've got quickly. You now have mini trailers for trailers, where they do a quick snippet of it and they go, and then you have one of them talking and going, oh, by the way, just coming up, here's the trailer for our film, and it's like, just play the trailer.
But have you noticed on YouTube now, what's really annoying, if you're watching something, whether it be someone that's actually doing something for YouTube or it's a trailer, they put that annoying square up before the thing finishes, at least a minute before it finishes. So it's obstructing your view.
Do they?
Yeah. It's so annoying. Yeah.
I've seen that.
They do that now all the time.
Yeah.
Just another thing to hate. Is that, I mean, I'm with you, John. I love a good trailer, with a throaty voiceover. Doesn't have to be a bloke. Could be a chick as well. I'm not sexist about it. As long as it's throaty, I don't care. One good trailer that you're going to remember for a few months.
In a world where everything has gone to hell.
That's all I want.
Cigarettes just before it,
That's all we want, Chris. Now we don't just get the trailers, we get the teasers. But even that's not enough now, Chris. Now we get these sort of tingle teasers as well that tease the teaser.
Yeah, well, it's of course I'm one who's been known to occasionally review trailers, so I guess I'm one to talk. But yeah, it's I agree with you, Dan, Andy, and we're talking about. I'll be going to the movie theater tomorrow. I'm going with my brother and the nephews because they wanted to see the new Beetlejuice movie. So I'll let you know what I think. But yeah, I've gone to see like 4 movies in the past 2 years. I saw Megan. I saw the final Insidious movie, the also known as the Insidious franchise goes current year. I went to see Deadpool and Wolverine, and I did not pay for my ticket. Somebody else did because I refused to give Disney my money. Good movie though, and I'll be seeing Beetlejuice. So yeah, it's and I'm somebody I used to when we were kids and teenagers and early 20s, we would go to the movies every Tuesday because that was cheap night. So from 1994 until I'd say probably 2002-ish, every Tuesday. Now it's like, well, you go there, and I don't know how expensive it is in the UK, but I imagine it's horrific. I'm like, I'm paying more to go see for the movie, or I'm paying more to go see the movie than I would be for the 4K.
Yeah,
prices are absolutely ridiculous. I went to see, as I said, I went to see Alien Romulus. The first place I went was the multiplex, and I took some time off to go and see it. I got a couple of days. I've got a window here that I can go and see it. So I went up to the multiplex, and I first of all I went to try and buy a ticket at a booth. No such luck. They sent me over to this like machine on the wall. I'm just going to like scan my card, and I was going to have to tap in this and the other. I thought, no, I'll speak to a person. It was a real Victor Meldrew moment. So I went to speak to a person. I insisted on it. When I got there, I said to this guy, one to Alien, and he just he did all the business, like got the seats. Do you want to sit there? Do you want to sit there? And I thought, this is weird, because at no point have I seen a list of the times or a list of the prices. So he picked my seat. He's like, okay. I said, yeah. And I looked at his screen. I had to sort of bend my head to look round. And I said, whoa, hang on a minute. Is that the price? Guess how much the seat was to see the Alien film in the middle of the day when I went to a multiplex.
I'm just gonna get. Well, I'll do Canadian dollars because my conversion is bad. I'm gonna say $20.
I think it would.
Yeah,
it was £17.95p.
No, was this at IMAX?
No. When I asked the guy, I said, "Are you really going to check? It's 18 quid to see a film in the middle of the afternoon." He says, "Yes." He says, "Well, they are recliner seats." I said, I don't care what I'm sat in. I said, "Have you got any theatres that aren't recliner seats?" Not for a few days, no. So I went somewhere else and paid £6.50, like a much smaller cinema, a little bit more run down, but a lot more local to me. And I had a far better experience as well, guys. Far better. But I had a real proper grumpy old man moment.
And we used to have we have a theater downtown, which we've got like our super 20 theater. 25 theater, whatever it is, megaplex. But downtown, we used to have like the cheap theater, except now you don't want to go downtown because when you go into the theater and your car's out on the street, it's going to get robbed and you may get stabbed. So we nobody wants to go there anymore.
It does put you off, doesn't it?
Yeah, that does put the price up a little bit.
Go to the theater and die. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm nuts.
I mean, I always remember our town cinema in the 80s, and it was literally the screen was just a painted wall. And you used to have the pebble dash wall back in the day.
Yeah.
It was just white, and it was displayed by a projector onto that wall. And I loved it. Never had a problem with it, like watching Teen Wolf and all those sort of movies.
Oh,
but now
we had one like that. We used to have back in the 90s. We had several theaters, but we had two downtown. One was like the nice theater, which has been bought out several times, and it's now the scary theater. And then there was this other one, the Cineplex Odeon, which was very old. It had been built in like the 50s. It was on a wall. Eventually, this it got condemned because it was infested with rats, termites, mold, everything you can think of, and it did not smell like a happy theater. So it's there's like a big parking lot where it used to be. But I miss the days of the cheap old theaters. But now our formerly nice theater is where you go to get stabbed, and that's like your.
But I hate to say this, but I'm a lot older than you guys. But I remember cinema being a lot of fun, even though. When you walk, we had two cinemas where I lived. We had the Ruby and the Granada, right? Which literally was 10 minutes walk from my house. And this is how bad it was. You walk in then and your feet would stick to the carpet because it had so much crap on it. And then you go in the cinema and people would be smoking, right? And then you would sit on the seat and there'll be a cat that runs over your thing, and then there'll be and Saturday nights, because where I lived it was mostly black community. The black community used to pile in with I don't know what they were smoking, but it was something funny. And they used to scream and shout and throw popcorn at the screen and stuff, especially when I had horror films on Saturday night. I remember they showed the what is it, The Shining, together with Scanners. And my God, did they scream and shout. And that, for me, that was a lot of fun. You know, it's and I remember cinema like that. And then suddenly it just all disappeared and become this
very corporate
thing.
They stopped all the intermissions. We got rid of the usherettes selling chop ices and cigarettes.
Yep.
I remember our local cinema. They hired me as like I was only a teenager. They hired me as like the ticket collector and, you know, the muscle to make sure someone didn't get past.
Muscle?
You know? Yeah. And one day the school bully turned up, right? This giant. And I said, tickets, please. And he goes, are you going to stop me, are you? And I just looked at him, my best action pose, and I just went, if I have to, you know. And he ripped his ticket and gave it to me, and I felt like $1 million after that, you know, stopping the school bully.
Fabulous stuff. We have got a blast from the past coming up in a moment, but before we get there, I've got to remind us that we're live streaming this so we've got a live chat full of other movie geeks, I think, eager geeks waiting to hear what we're going to talk about on this edition of the show. So we're streaming to X. Hello, X. Get commenting there on X. Lots of people watch us on X. Hardly anybody says a bloody thing. Get commenting. We don't bite. And we're on Rumble as well. The Green Machine, as Culture informed us, it's called a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about starting my own streaming platform, Chris. It could be ideal. You and I could start this together. So we've got YouTube, we've got Rumble. I think we're going to start one just for grumpy old men. We'll just call it Grumble. And we can stream on there.
I'm good at that. Dan, we've reached that age, and I know I've reached it. Well, I was a grumpy old bastard when I was young, but now that, you know, we're past halfway to death. We're grumpy, and there just comes a point where you become like your grandfather. I'm tired of the youngins and their crap.
There you go.
I'm also at an age now where I make sure I don't buy a big fizzy drink before the film because I know I'm not going to see it to the end.
That's the one thing that I've given up everything fun, smoking, drinking. The only thing I haven't given up is caffeine, which I know at some point I have to give up. But no, the twice a year I go to the theater, I still need to get my big thing of Pepsi, which, you know, used to be $2. Now it's like $20. But it's like my tradition. I have to have my big Pepsi, but yes, the old man bladder kicks in, and I miss parts because
one by one they rob us of all our pleasures.
Dude,
if they
when you can't make it through the night without getting up to pee, that's when you know you're done. And
it's not done yet.
What?
We're not done yet. We still got loads of time.
Now, as long as
we got the golden years of grumpiness.
Well, Ian, as long as we can still pop to the Weatherspoons and pick up some Strange, then life is worth living. That's how I look at it. Okay. I feel we're getting off the point, everybody. I feel we're getting off the point.
We haven't discussed any movies. I told you, and I warn everybody, you have me on a live stream, and you all know this well. It gets completely derailed because this is actually how old people ramble. I am Grandpa Simpson. I can derail anything. It's awesome. Okay, I'm going to mute myself now.
Okay, before we get derailed any further by anybody, because I think I'm just as bad as you are, Chris, to tell you the truth, I've got to remind you that this is the Spacebook Live, one of a cluster of shows covering all out there entertainment. So this is our live stream review show where we pick our way through whatever's current in movies, TV, comic books, gaming, and anything else that any of us want to talk about, want to ramble about, and any rabbit holes that we need to dive down. There's regular podcasts too, where we do pretty much more of the same, really, but at least that's somewhat licked into shape. And there's the Spacebook Listed too. That's our old movies and TV strand there, classic movies. Deep dives into TV favourites from decades past, and you can find all of that in the playlists on the Spacebook channel too. Okay, what else? So everybody out there that's watching along and listening to our conversation, you want to chip in with your pearls of wisdom and your takes on the various things we're going to discuss, please do. Get tapping away on the device of your choice if you like, and sit back, enjoy the show. There's a lot to get into, and I think we've got some things that could please everybody. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. Happy now? Is everybody back in a happier place for a little while at least? Now we've seen that.
What was that?
God, I haven't seen that bumper in years.
My Pepsi cup. That is the Pepsi cup I get every time I go to the theater, and just looking at it makes me have to pee.
Yeah,
I've never seen that. Where is that from? I've never ever seen
that video that I just played.
No,
they used to play that at cinemas. Certainly, the multiplex that I went to from the mid '90s through that, and they kept using it for years and years and years and years.
I used to watch it at Showcase. Used to be on.
Not in any
I
cinema
think mine was a
I've
local
been in.
Showcase as well.
I mean, there were Virgin, there was WB, there was UCI. I've never seen them in any. Odeon's still around. Empire, it's gone. Yeah. Wow.
Blasts from the past. So we're here talking about movies as it's September already. It'll be midway through September before we know it. So there's 4 months left of the year and a good chunk of movies to be released as well. A bit of everything. There's some geek-friendly fare, I think, even though blockbuster season has officially ended at the summer season traditionally. We're going to look at some of the movies that are due to hit the screens on the big screen specifically over the next couple of months and see if anything tickles our fancy. I think I've got just a group of geeks to make our way through it here and make some sense of it, and we'll be chipping in with you in the live chat as well to see what you've got to say about it all as well. First of all, I wanted to start with this because this is already out and I intended on going to see this week, didn't have a chance, but I hope to at some point in the next few days. I can't believe that the sequel to Beetlejuice is finally in cinemas after 37 years and at least 2.5 decades talking about it. Chris, you said you're going to go and see this fairly soon.
Yeah, my the nephews wanted to go see it, so my brother and I are taking them tomorrow. I love the original Beetlejuice, but
so do I.
I don't. As time passes by, I don't like reboots and I don't like remakes. So I'm cautious of this. If the boys don't want to go see this, this is one that I probably would have just waited and picked up on physical media. Although I am curious, but
Tim Burton's past his best, isn't he, Chris?
Well, he's kind of doing the Harrison Ford thing. He's revisiting his classic roles. I just give us. I know I've been saying this as long as I've known you guys, but give us something new.
Yeah,
it's I love the original Beetlejuice. I think it's a perfect movie. I've watched it every year, at least once a year since it came out. So it was 1988. So that's a lot of viewings.
Yeah.
I just don't think there's a need for this. Like I will see it. I am curious, But if I had a choice, do you want this or not want this? I would say just let it be. Give us something new. I think I'll probably say that a lot because that's my thing. But I will next time we do this, I'll report back and tell you what I think.
Here's why I'm more interested in this, though, Z, because I think that Chris is absolutely right. But why I'm a little more I'm a little keener for this is because I know that the desire to make a Beetlejuice sequel stretches back a lot further than the current trend for kind of legacy sequels, like bringing Jamie Lee Curtis back to Halloween and all those kind of things that they do now. Tim has been trying to crank out a Beetlejuice sequel, certainly since the mid-90s.
There's
just left it too late.
Same thing with Ghostbusters. There's a certain time, like say say they waited 10 years, 1998, I would have been fine. 20 years, 2008, maybe, but we're now, how long ago is 1988? That's 20. Oh, my math is terrible. 36. Yeah, 36 years. It's just there's a time, and I think everything has an expiry date, and that's one of my pet peeves. You didn't need to bring back Indiana Jones. You didn't really need to bring back Beetlejuice. I am curious, but it's just 10 years, 20 years at the most. 36. It's come and gone.
I like the fact that Winona Ryder is still strangely hot, but it's a bit of an unknown quantity. Z, how do you feel about this, given what we've said about sort of legacy movies and 37 years and Tim Burton being a bit, burtoned out? I mean, what's your instinct about this? Are you going to go and see it? Are you interested?
Well, I'm indifferent on this one. I was a fan of the first movies. I owned it on VHS. It was one of the very first DVDs that I purchased. I don't know if you remember them when they came in cardboard.
Yeah. The snapper. They used to call them snappers, didn't they?
Snapper
the cases.
Warner Brothers. The big crime against physical media.
I love the gothic comedy element of Beetlejuice and the abstract mind of Tim Burton. Danny Elfman is a breath of fresh air to Hollywood music, and Keaton's performance was all top tier in the first film. But I watched the trailer and I was initially excited for the sequel, but couldn't help notice that the Maitlands were absent. Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis were characters that you could relate to, and excuse the pun, they were the heart and soul of the first movie. Plus, I had an enormous crush on Gina Davis at the time. I understand that their characters moved on to the afterlife at the end of the original movie, but their absence is one of the reasons that I haven't gone to see it yet. Because if you remove the heart of the movie, all you're left is a cast full of dysfunctional deetses.
Obviously, the cast has been sort of enhanced. There are new bodies, new faces stood there. Not least of all the girl who plays Wednesday Addams in the that's Tim Burton's show as well. The Wednesday show, isn't it, John, on Netflix?
Yeah.
Jenny Ortega, is that her name?
Yeah. Woo, she's smoking.
Hey, you're old enough to be a dad. Calm down.
Bit skinny for me, but she's very pretty. I do wonder though if, because Z obviously is completely right. You look at this and it seems to be an assortment of oddball characters, but is she the outlier? Could she be the heart of this movie? I don't know.
I think for me as well, I think I enjoyed the first Beetlejuice, but I'm not a big fan of it. However, I am a big fan of Tim Burton films, and I absolutely adore Edward Scissorhands. I love that film. But I think for this, it's what Chris was saying a few minutes ago. I think the trouble we've got now is Hollywood. They're almost so scared to take a loss that they're just going back to the old IPs and just driving them out again, aren't they?
So do you think the conversation went somewhere along the lines of, rather than, oh yes, at last we can make this Beetlejuice film, as if it went more along the lines of, oh God, we've run out of things to bring back, Ian. Hang on a minute. Doesn't that Burton bloke want to make another one of those films about the guy in the mad suit? Do you think it was something like that?
I mean, I do like the first one. Do you know what's interesting about the first one is that it goes out of its way to try and be scary. The animation is clunky, but there's something scary about that animation in Beetlejuice, especially when you watch Pee-wee, the film that Tim Burton directed, the Pee-wee Herman film, that bit where he's in the truck and suddenly that the face suddenly, with that was animation, wasn't it? That took me aback when I saw that as well. He has this thing about him that he can take something dark and make it slightly scary. But I don't know about this one. I'm not going to rush to cinema to see this at all. It doesn't look good to me. It looks like that it's a cash grab.
It sort of looks what you'd expect, doesn't it? I think it looks like a fun time. And I'm determined to see it at the cinema because I've told myself to make more of an effort to have that cinema experience. But yes, I am going to try and see this. Obviously, we've got comments in the live chat as well from people. It's stirring memories. Of course it is. It's Beetlejuice, including Lord Thoth, one of our loyal moderators. Thanks for being here, Lord Thoth. And he says, I like the first movie, but I've seen it 3 times, maybe. So it's not a film that people have been necessarily hankering for that sequel to. Why did they never make? I think that people are still sort of a little bit. People of a certain age are still wondering why they never made a Flash Gordon 2, for example, when it was teased at the end of the first one. But with this, you think, well, Beetlejuice was kind of a one and done.
It was.
I can see why people would think that.
Yeah. It was. I mean, as I recall, right, and correct me if I'm wrong, Beetlejuice wasn't all the way through it. In the first one, he was, I don't know, he was in it, but then he wasn't. And it looks like
he narrated a lot of it as well, didn't he?
It looks like in this new one that he looks like he is going to be the hero, which is what Hollywood is doing now. They're taking the villains and making them to heroes for some reason. So I don't know about this one. I don't know.
Lord Thoth says the cast has been enhanced with an all-female cast, and Keaton is only in it for 20 minutes. There's a lot of blokes on the poster. There's there's 2 or 3 guys there along the bottom.
Has Lord seen it though?
I don't know.
Is he quoting from something? Lord Fluff, tell us if you've seen it. Because
I've been reliably told that it isn't woke, which is fine by me. I say I don't want to keep going back to the woke world, but I'm reliably told that it isn't woke. Lee Smith says it can't be as bad as the Munsters. Now, of course, that was Rob Zombie's Zombie's film of the Munsters from a couple of years ago, which we also reviewed on an earlier incarnation of this show. And Chris, you and I quite enjoyed it, didn't we?
Yeah, I got roasted over the coals for that, but I
and I roasted him.
Oh, you did, yeah. I need to rewatch. I haven't watched it since, so that was God 2 years ago now. I'm a fan of Rob Zombie. I like his directorial technique, and although I wish he would stop cast. His wife's an okay actor, but I wish he would cast somebody else at some point. I remember liking the style. The story was there. I remember loving the style of that movie. I can't defend it right now because again, it was 2 years ago and my old brain has kind of forgotten it. I'm watching it again this October and I'll see if it stands up 2 years later.
And of course, it featured Sylvester McCoy, a former Doctor Who. There we are. There we are. I've mentioned Doctor Who for people in the live chat who are getting antsy. We've mentioned Doctor Who. Another film that mentions Doctor Who and that's also in the cinemas right now is A Star of Acre, which stars Matt Smith, along with a woman whose name I can't pronounce.
Isn't it? Is it a horror?
Yeah. We've looked at this. We looked at this very briefly before, Ian. This looks very much like an old style kind of Hammer horror movie, doesn't it? And I think we watched the trailer, and it was quite chilling, and it's on release now. I think before we've said how this kind of movie, because obviously it looks quite cheap, but very atmospheric. It's more a kind of, if you go to see it theatrically, you probably go if you're on a date or something like that. I don't think I'm going to go to the cinema to see this, but the reviews are actually very, very strong for Star of Acre. And I did wonder what you thought of it, Chris, whether you'd heard about this movie, because I know that you like British horror movies too, don't you?
Hammer horror, and this is how out of the loop I am. I'm actually watching the trailer in a separate window right now. That looks good as an older person can. Let's take a look. Okay, she's crying. We're in a hospital. Oh, this is
commentary.
Okay, well, Chris is catching up on the trailer. Z, what's your feeling about this brand of movie? Because this is the kind of story that British filmmakers tell traditionally very, very well, but they do it only every now and again now. I think Rhys Shearsmith made a similar kind of movie about 8 or 9 years ago. We had Hammer made a bit of a comeback with a movie version of The Woman in Black. So they bubble up every now and again and ultimately never go anywhere. They never seem to to kickstart a renewal of this sort of subgenre. But what's your take on this? Were you aware of the film?
I wasn't. In fact, this is the first time I have heard about this film at all. So I don't know if that speaks volumes about the movie or how well it was advertised. But I've never seen this, and I've kind of followed Matt Smith's career. I loved him in The Crown. I love him in House of the Dragon. But
see, there's a lot more to movie. There's a lot more to movie punditry than just giving a good kick into the latest MCU nightmare. That's what it is. I think Starvaker looks fun. I think it looks atmospheric, and I just want to see. Part of me just wants to see Matt Smith in more stuff, John, because Last Night in Soho, I think, is probably his biggest film so far, and he was co-lead in that. The man, he can't seem to get it together. Movie career wise, still doing quite well on the TV, but I feel Matt Smith is a movie star, John.
I agree completely. I think he just needs to find that one film that does project him into it. I think, what is it? He did the Terminator Genesis, and he was kind of cut out of that for a large section of it, wasn't it? Yeah, exactly. And then he was cut out of Star Wars, which was probably helped him actually.
I'd say it's just it's a good thing.
But he's going, but he takes risks, he takes chances. I mean, he was in the Marvel one, wasn't he? From Sony, what was it? The vampire one.
Morbius. He was the bad guy in that, wasn't he? Or one of the bad guys.
Yeah. So he always takes a chance, which is what I like.
Well,
about
it's not him taking a chance. It's whatever his manager or his agent puts in front of him. See, you know how it works. With actors, they've got all these doors that you can't get to them. So whatever the manager deems important, he'll put in front of him, like this film and Morbius and stuff like that. They don't have a clue what is good or what is bad. Some actors take their own career into their own hands, like what is it? George Clooney. He doesn't accept anything from his agent. He goes and finds scripts, or even writes, or finds scripts.
Bill Murray.
You know what I mean? Bill Murray's the same thing. Yeah, it's true.
Ian, what's your take on this? Because you've actually made low budget horror, haven't you? So when you see a film like you don't mind me saying that.
No, that's all right. Yeah.
But you understand the language of it, and you view it all as fun. So when you see a film come out like this, and you love Matt Smith as an actor, don't you? So is this the kind of thing that you would go and see, that you will make time for, or is it because you've made some of it, you think you can just see through it immediately, and it's an old hat? Do you think?
Well, it's got BFI written all over the poster, so I probably won't go and see it, because I know what BFI coughs up. If it's going to be a horror, it's going to be steeped in some kind of bullshit intelligence, or, that you just don't care about when you watch a film. You're either going to fall asleep.
No, we can't complain about cinema. We can't complain about cinema being dumbed down and then complain when it goes.
I'm just saying, right? It does look like something that's up their own arse, doesn't it? Really, instead of being a traditional.
I understand.
Horror
you think it's something that could be pretentious nonsense. That's what.
But the thing is, though, it might be really good. It might be really intelligent. It might be like what is it? What's that one with? Not the Bees, the original one. What was that one?
Oh, The Wicker Man.
The Wicker Man. The Wicker Man's very intelligent. The remake was terrible, but the
remake's hilarious.
Yeah, the actual film itself with Edward Woodward was absolutely fantastic. I found it was fantastic and a bit unnerving as well. So this might be like that. Who knows? We'll find out, right? But I don't know. I don't think I'll go to the cinema to see this. It's going to end up streaming, so I'll probably end up.
It'll probably be on a streaming platform, John. I'd say by Halloween, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be literally 48 hours after it's in the cinema. It'll be on the streaming.
Well, we were talking about cinema prices earlier on. That really knocks me. If I'd have paid 20 quid to see a film at the cinema and then find it streaming days later.
Yeah. And again, that, following the whole pandemic and everything, that's another part of it, of why prices have gone up in cinemas, and they're struggling because, one, they're desperate for good films at the moment, the cinemas, and two, you've got the streaming services that effectively have tried to cut them out and say, well, we're going to try and put a lot of them. I'm looking at you, Disney. We're going to try and put most of them on our streaming services, which kills them. So they have to put their prices up, and I don't want to see cinemas go away. Growing up as a kid, it's a thing I always enjoyed doing. So
It is going to go away though. But I mean, it sounded like I was bashing the BFI, but the BFI does do a lot of good for films. They preserve films. I actually saw I saw 2001, this is going back a long time ago, in a pristine print, a 35 millimeter print. They showed that at the BFI in Waterloo, and I saw that. Even though I don't like the film, I just wanted to be there just to experience the 35 millimeter print of 2001. Do you know what I mean? So they do a lot of good, but their choices of when they put money into movies is kind of bad, basically.
Yeah.
Trying to be too whatever. Yeah.
Domgo in the live chat. I never agree with anything Domgo ever says. It's nothing, nothing personal. Domgo says that Starvaker is the worst movie poster he's ever seen. I think it's really atmospheric and quite striking.
What's at the bottom there? Is it a dog or
it's a skeleton of an animal of some kind. Yeah, that's part of the mystery behind the story. I think this is it looks like the darkest episode of Emmerdale ever.
This will be
here comes Amos.
What do you think then, Chris? Have you digested the trailer now? Is this something you'd have time for? You'd make the time for?
It's definitely not one I'd see in the theater, although I don't know if we'd get it in the theater over here anyway. This one would be a Blu-ray pickup eventually. Yeah. It does have Galadriel. You can't unsee that after you.
Yes, I know.
But no, Galadriel, the actress, I can't pronounce her name.
Yeah.
She was good in Saint Maud. So I'll approach this with an open mind. Because Hammer is back, but Hammer doesn't do Hammer-based films, and this Jekyll movie
they're back again
is just a abomination. For various reasons. I like classic British horror. Modern British horror is it's kind of like everything.
I
don't. I'll watch it. I don't know if I'll like it, and I'll just pretend that's not Galadriel because that gets a distraction.
Reserve judgment on that.
Times have changed, though, isn't it? When it comes to British horror films and stuff like that, the way people look at horror films these days, especially the young kids, look at it very differently. The things that scared us in our day doesn't scare the kids
PG
today.
Jump scares. I try to explain it all the time. Like, one of my favorite movies is the Amityville Horror, the original one.
Oh, I love that. With James Brolin and Margot Kidder.
Yeah. And they're like, it's boring. I'm like, no, it's not. The whole movies back then, your best horror movie is going to be like The Haunting. Something that it's the feeling of dread that builds up over the film. It's the atmosphere. That's what makes it scary. Jump scares are not scary. Atmosphere is scary.
But they're not watching it in the way it's supposed to be watched. Like one of my hobbies, right? And this is a crap hobby, is when my nieces come.
As long as it's legal, we can talk about
it. No. But when my nieces come to stay, I always say to them, "Do you want to watch a movie?" And I always pick the movie. And one of the joys I get is, like, I remember Jamie watched Sixth Sense, and she'd never watched it before. Just looking at the film through her eyes. She was bought, she was crying her eyes out, she was scared, she was, I mean, and I love that stuff. I love looking at a film through my relatives' eyes.
I sat down my stepdaughters in front of The Sixth Sense, and they were bored stiff for the first 50 minutes. And as it moved on, as they got close, and of course we were waiting to see their faces for the end. Great memories. So that's Starvaker. That's in cinemas right now, out in a few days' time. In fact, there's quite a few scary ones. It's because we're getting to that time of year. Is this one? This stars James McAvoy. It's called Speak No Evil. It's out in UK cinemas on September the 12th. And we've got a synopsis here. It says a family is invited to spend a weekend in an idyllic country house, unaware that their dream vacation will soon become a psychological nightmare. It's directed by James Watkins. Like the sound of that one, Z?
Z?
Not me.
Yeah, you.
Do you like the sound of that? What do you think about James McAvoy? I mean, he does scary quite well, doesn't he? He does menacing quite well. This does look like it's going to chill you to the bone, I think.
It might very well do, but horror is my least favourite genre, so I tend to avoid these things like the plague.
No.
Yeah.
I saw the trailer for this.
Bad horror is very easy to make, isn't it? There's a lot of bad horror about.
Yeah, like Star Wars.
I mean, the truth of the matter is, I mean, this does sound a little bit more like a thriller, doesn't it, than an out-and-out horror film? I don't think it's a slasher film. It sounds more like a psychological thriller. Are you aware of this one, Chris? Have you seen any trailers for this or heard about it?
Yeah, this was actually one that I did first learn about in the theater. So I saw the trailer. This one could go either way. Now, looking optimistically, I love movies that create a complete sense of unease, that make you feel uncomfortable, that are awkward. Kind of, a movie that a lot of people hate that I like is Knock Knock, starring Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves.
It's I think if you haven't watched it, don't listen to other people. It's brilliant. But no, what I like, it's similar to what I was saying with the Amityville Horror. This one builds up a feeling of uncomfortableness, of awkwardness. You can see that in the trailer. And I know I was hard on Mackenzie Davis when I was reviewing the Terminator movie. Let's be honest, I was a jerk. I don't mind her. I think she's a decent actress. So I'm interested in seeing her. James McAvoy, great actor. This is going to go either way. Either it's going to be like Knock Knock, something that makes you completely uncomfortable from the beginning to the end, or it's just going to be derivative crap, and it's going to be a snooze fest and something that we've seen 100 times before. I am optimistic. Give me a good movie.
I remember around 30 odd years ago, and we were just been talking about Michael Keaton there being in Beetlejuice. I remember back in 1990, he followed Batman with a film called Pacific Heights, and that was very much along the. Do you remember? It was along these lines, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Melanie Griffiths was in it as well, and it had got a kind of glossiness to it, but it was that kind of psychological thriller. The same with What Lies Beneath, the Harrison Ford and Michelle Pfeiffer thing that Robert Zemeckis directed. Was that?
Yes.
So I do like that kind of movie, Ian. Just as Chris was describing, but I've got to be in the right mood for them,
Yeah, I don't. This film doesn't interest me at all. It's I hate to say it, I can see things coming a mile away. So, do you know what, right? What really pees me off is watching a movie, right? Especially horror, and then watching the people in the film do stupid things that you know that you wouldn't do in that situation. And that really, if you as an audience member wouldn't do that, then why would the people on screen do that? They only do it to move the story along.
That
which really pees me off. So like, this trailer shows that these guys, this couple invites the family to the house, and then they're acting all crazy. In real life, you'll just go, "Screw you guys, I'm going home. You want to stop me?" And then you'll get a big knife out. So, you want to stop me? You'll leave, right? But no, they have to stay and put up with this nonsense. And in real life, if you're a decent person, you wouldn't put up with that nonsense. You'll just walk. But anyway,
James McAvoy doesn't appear in much trash, Ian, does he?
I wouldn't say that. I've seen him in rubbish before. So
he was in the final X-Men movie.
X-Men Apocalypse.
Yeah, that was terrible.
But he was very much committed to that part, wasn't he, over a long period of time.
They're
it's
all
different.
Contractually obligated, and you could tell nobody wanted to be there. That's why that movie is actually hilarious.
And Glass was terrible.
Yeah,
no, not
Glass is pretty bad.
I loved all of those movies. But I appreciate I appreciate it may have disappointed some, and I can see why. But he was great in it. He's always. I don't think he ever turns up and sort of.
You can't fault he's a good actor, but what I'm saying is that come on, do something else, mate.
But I have to say, I agree with Ian. It's normal. Like I think of the scene at the picnic table in the trailer. Do that to me. It's like, excuse me.
Yeah, you'd get up
when you say
walk.
What?
Yeah,
you can go insert word that will get Dan demonetized yourself. You worthless. Insert additional blanks. Goodbye, and insert blank yourself.
But also remember, right, that again, I will default to my nieces who I love dearly. They watch a film and they guess in before the thing actually happens.
For some people, that's part of the fun, isn't it? I don't get that either. I've got a comment here in the live chat on YouTube, Ian, from Divining Dragon, Double D, as I I'm sure he likes that. Double D says, well, there's a difference between horror and suspense. The two terms seem to be interchangeable. There's a big difference, isn't there, between being sort of grossed out and being chilled down?
Yeah, there is. But what I'm saying is that these days, the screenwriters are so terrible these days that they just write things in there so they can move the story along. You know, if you use logic, that kind of person wouldn't be doing that kind of thing, if you know what I mean. So, this looks like that type of movie where you'll be just sitting in cinema going, well, why didn't they walk? Why, you know, let's put it this way, right? If your friend invites you to a cabin in the woods, right, in the middle of the night, and you're told that there used to be a ghost in there, would you go? No, you wouldn't go, would you?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to counter that.
All right, go on then.
John?
I'm going to counter that. The reason I don't like horror so much is when I worked for UCI Cinemas as an usher, I had to sit in on every screening of Event Horizon. And I was terrified of that film. And I had to sit there every single viewing. And I still haven't got over it. So that's why I would probably go to that hut, Ian.
I mean, that was a good film, though, Event Horizon. I thought it was quite good.
Terrifying.
Yeah, I liked it. In fact, wasn't Sam Neill? He was sort of the big bad guy in that one, wasn't he? So,
he wasn't bad. He was just.
I think that Sam Neill as an actor is cut very much from a similar cloth as James McAvoy, who Domgo says, I went to school with James McAvoy and he doesn't scare me at all. Excellent
stuff. You guys have been talking about this, I went and watched the trailer, and this is actually going to go on my watch list.
Okay.
So what has hooked you? What has hooked you?
It's more psychological thriller than it is horror. And I do like a good thriller.
There you go. Well, there's more where that came from. Next up is this. This one's out on September the 20th, and it stars Halle Berry. And the premise for this one is that a family has been haunted by an evil spirit for years. Their safety and their surroundings come into question when one of the children questions if the evil is even real. It's directed by Alexandre Aja, and it stars the gorgeous Halle Berry, who never seems to age. And again, it's getting to that time of year. Children, you see children in danger. You know, I'm a dad to multiple of the sods, but I hate to, if I see kids in danger on the screen, that's it. You know, I'm on the edge of my seat. This does look like my kind of thing as well. Have you heard of this one, Ian?
No, I've never heard. I love Halle Berry though. I even watched that crap movie she was in with Mark Wahlberg on Netflix. The film was terrible.
Catwoman.
No. I watched that too. I love Halle Berry. I think Halle Berry's gorgeous, and I think she's a good actress. But she seems to be phoning in these days. Do you know what I mean? So she's
all of a sudden she's appearing in a lot of movies. I mean, since one touch is all it takes. One touch probably would be all it would take from Halle Berry if it comes to me, John. I mean, here she is out in the forest, though, protecting a couple of ankle biters. This is, it's a little bit thin, but this is going to hit, isn't it? Surely this is going to hit.
I mean, again, not being a massive horror fan myself, I think just the thing that jumps to me at the moment, I'm sure there's a lot more stuff coming, but I know we're getting into that season. But
yeah, it's that time.
I just want a bit of variety. There always used to be the horror movies when I was growing up, but there were other things as well. So there was a rich palette of stuff. Whereas I don't know, the studios seem to just be, they are focusing on one particular period where, I don't know, I know it's a marketing thing for Halloween, but when they were good movies, they would come out at any point in the year.
That's true. Very true.
It's a good horror movie. You could just put it out in January. You're fine. Put it in the summer. But I'll give it a try. If it makes me sleep with the light on, then it's done its job, isn't it? Really. I'll check.
Halle Berry's had a steady line of these kind of movies. I remember Gothica from around 20 years ago. She did with Robert Downey Jr. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
that was when Robert Downey Jr. couldn't get a part in a film. He's something like third lead in that.
Yeah, no, it's she's a good actress, and this premise doesn't sound too good. Doesn't sound original at all.
It sounds formulaic, doesn't it? In all honesty.
Yeah, I'll go and see it though because of her.
out
even
of
saw that.
loyalty.
Well, even saw that John Wick film that she was in. I saw that because of her. I was really tired of John Wick, that number 3, but because she was in it, I watched it anyway. So,
Well, along similar lines, so I might as well mention these both at the same time because they're out on the same day as well, is this movie by J.T. Molnar and stars Willa Fitzgerald. It's called Strange Darling. And this, so the premise to this is that nothing is what it seems when a twisted one-night stand spirals into a serial killer's vicious murder spree. So again, that sounds a fairly light premise, Ian, but this looks like it's a bit more about sort of now. It's about sort of dating app culture gone wrong. And obviously it's got the dude's the evil one. Of course he is. Trust me, there's some women who are just as bad, if not worse.
I've heard of this. I've heard of this and I've heard it's really great. I heard it's really good. It's unexpected. It's not, it doesn't go the way you think it's going to go. So I'm definitely gonna, this is definitely on my list to watch. It's a low budget film, isn't it? It's an independent film as well, isn't it? So
you've got, I think, so comparing this, for example, so we've got Never Let Go with Halle Berry and Strange Darling with Willa Fitzgerald. In all honesty, we have seen Halle Berry do that thing before.
Yes.
This being a relatively new director, has only done a couple of things. Willa Fitzgerald, who's only been in a couple of movies, and this being a bit more sort of dialed into current social landscape, perhaps this could be something to be a little bit more excited about, even if it does tread familiar ground there, Chris. What do you think about either of these two movies? Are they your bag or are they strictly for streaming?
The Halle Berry one, I can't even, I've already forgotten the title.
Yes, indifferent.
I'll check it out, but my level of excitement is kind of on the floor. So I have a feeling it's going to be what I will call a sleepy time movie. Now, Strange Darling, again, and I'm repeating myself, but this could go either way. There was a movie that came out recently called Cat Person, came out last year.
Okay.
Psychological horror, which kind of covers the same thing. 2/3 of the movie, it's a woke fest, but then at the end, it kind of literally punches woke in the face. So I kind of enjoyed that. It's worth checking out. This one seems to be very similar. A story of modern dating gone bad. This is, see, the problem that I have with horror movies is I watch pretty much everything that comes out. And I'm more underwhelmed than I am excited. I'd say, maybe 1 out of every 5 is like, that was awesome. Maybe half of them like that's decent. And then there's the rest that are just junk. So both of these, Halle Berry, it might be one of those where I pick up the Blu-ray and it sits collecting dust for 3 years. And then I get bored and watch it one day. I can see that happening.
Do you think that sometimes they make movies like this, well, not necessarily Strange Darling, but generally speaking, they make movies such as this, which are fairly formulaic, fairly cheap, and they sit on them for a while and thinking, okay, when's the best time to release this? Let's just hold it back till Halloween, till there's a date night. Or
well, you could tell there's a pattern. If they have faith in it, it's going to come out in Halloween. If they don't, it comes out in the month of death of January. Anything that comes out of January are movies that studios have written off, especially if they're horror.
The thing is, though, we have to celebrate the originality of these films because all we're getting is sequels upon sequels upon remakes. Yep. But this, I've heard some good news about this film, and also it's original. Apparently, it's original. So yeah, I'll find some time.
Darling, Ian?
Yeah, that one.
It looks interesting. I'll find some time.
Poster's
this
good.
Is one that I will watch. I won't see it in the theater, but this is one that I'll watch as soon as I get the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Whereas the other ones will probably sit for a while.
Do you think that even sort of decades after his death, Z, that films like this and premises like this are always going to be in the shadow of the late, great Alfred Hitchcock, and that...
I think everybody's got their own twist on the genre. I have seen the trailer for Strange Darling, and I do like the look of it. I enjoyed Willa Fitzgerald in the first season of Reacher, so I am looking
She's
forward
fabulous,
to,
isn't she?
seeing a bit more of her work. And the trailer is intriguing enough to keep your interest throughout. So it's definitely going on the watch list. I don't know if it's necessarily Hitchcockian in style, but it's got those hooks that make me want to watch it.
Thing about Hitchcock is that he was very much he was very much in control of everything that you see on the screen, and also he knows about movies. He knows about where to place this or where to put that, or what's in the right and stuff like that. With these kind of films, with these new kind of directors, they're good, but in my opinion, no way as good as old school directors. Old school directors knew where it was, and they still do know where it is as well. You just got to watch Martin Scorsese's what's that one, the Flowers one, which I watched again, and every shot is absolutely amazing and beautiful and well composed. You watch some of these new directors, they're good, but they don't have the class of the old school directors, if you know what I mean. So anyway,
we've got a recommendation here, Ian. I don't know if you've seen this one. Peter Harrington's watching on YouTube, and he recommends a film called The Final Girl. A good story, nicely told, good horror, and no big names. I mean, that's the thing that I got looking at the Strange Darlings thing. So I recognise Willa from, as you say, from Reacher, but other than that, it's
The Final Girl. I'll take a look at that. Definitely.
Yeah.
Is it that Netflix?
Yeah. Peter, tell us what channel that's on, or how we can get
to
it.
Yeah, please do. And Star Hoovian is also with us in the live chat and says, Speak No Evil intrigues me. I watched Split the other night and thought James McAvoy was so good as the bad. He also makes a fabulous bad guy. We've got an evening here from James Woolard, and we have a couple of comments from people who've just discovered the channel and found this show. So thanks for joining us. Enjoy yourselves. Please subscribe and get commenting as well to the Spacebook channel, as well as everything else. What have we got here? Yeah, lots of. That's right, says Retro Doc. She was great in Reacher. Yeah, she really was. It's just, all the cast of Reacher are excellent, and when those characters sort of dip out of the show, you really do miss them. You wish they could come back.
I think she's coming back. I think in season 3.
I don't know. I've never read any of the books, so I've got no idea whether the characters do roll around again. Talking about rolling around again, the list so far has been, we've had one sequel out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 movies, but we have another sequel now. It's I can't even pronounce this. What's it called? Folie à Deux, which is the
Joker.
Appendage to Joker. I'm just going to call it Joker 2. Again, directed by Todd Phillips, stars Joaquin Phoenix along with Lady Gaga, and the premise here says failed comedian Arthur Fleck meets the love of his life, Harley Quinn, whilst in Arkham State Hospital. Upon release, the pair embark on a doomed romantic adventure. Now, this is a sequel to a film that the director said that he would never sequel. It does seem that he's given into temptation. And they're exploiting the success of a movie from around 5 years ago. Keep light on the details, because I still haven't seen the first one, so I'm going to watch it, and then I'm going to go and watch this. So, given you blokes, has everybody on this panel seen the first one apart from me?
Yeah.
So do you think it's impossible to create a sequel to this film, John, and not damage the first one? I mean, what do you think?
I didn't overly enjoy the first one, if I'm honest. I watched it and I thought, it's okay. But I always knew when Zaslav took over at Warner Bros., he was known as someone that he does things, he likes to do things cheap, but make a lot of money, which is what they all should want.
It's good business.
But he basically, when this was, what was it? Joker made over $1 billion, didn't it? So, this was a no-brainer that he was going to get a sequel to this. But I don't know. For all the people that love the first one, I'm not sure you can capture it with a sequel, to be honest with you.
I mean, you could say that the best thing about making a sequel, releasing a sequel to this, is that the first one annoyed the wokies so much. If you remember, there was a massive campaign to try and get it taken out of cinemas and all sorts of things. So that's never a bad thing, winding up the idiots, is it?
No, that's a positive. I'll give them that. Yeah.
It's not much.
Does he get released from jail?
Sounds like it.
Well, the thing is, though, he murdered people in cold blood. Why would they release him?
No, I got a feeling he will escape in it.
Okay.
I think they'll
Otherwise, they haven't got a story.
Do the comic book element of it, and then they'll just go on a bit of a mad rampage. Well, if it's real, if it could be another fantasy thing, couldn't it?
Yeah.
If Lady Gaga is playing Harley Quinn, obviously Margot Robbie is the actress we most associate with that part. And yet, strangely, you watch the trailer to this, and this does seem very natural. It does seem a little pretentious and very artsy. Mostly, though, this film, the original film, is quite well thought of. Like I say, it's one of those I've always intended on seeing. I bought the Blu-ray. I've never felt that I've been in quite the right mood for it. And so I do wonder, is this a film I will have to sort of drag myself to the cinema to see? I think Joaquin Phoenix is a fabulous actor. He's never not been excellent in anything. So I don't want to be behind the curve on this, as I say, because I didn't see the first one. I'm still playing catch up. So I feel that I should make the effort and be up to date with this, or risk being left behind.
The first one is I found very good, but I'm like John. I found it very good, but I didn't think it was brilliant, and I didn't think it deserved the praise that
before it came out, Ian, I remember there was the stuff from the wokies, of course there was, but there was a lot of people as well. There's a group of people who just thought it was pointless to making a solo film about a character like Joker.
Well, the thing is, though, it's, again, I hate this multiverse rubbish. He's a Joker from another universe, I guess, because it doesn't.
Yeah, it's an Elseworlds thing.
Yeah, they do mention Wayne a couple of times in the first one, but I mean, it is very much like that film with Robert De Niro. What was that one?
Taxi Driver.
Taxi Driver, and the other film that Scorsese made. What was that one where he was
King of Comedy?
So it was a mixture between Taxi Driver and King of Comedy. That's what it was like, and it had very much the same lighting and the same style of it as well. I mean,
I mean, I was going to say, I mean, for me, being someone that loves DC Comics, I mean, for me, I see it as an Elseworlds, and I can accept that. But again,
that's why having multiple versions of the same character in movies and TV doesn't bother me, John, because I'm a DC guy as well, and I've read countless Elseworlds books.
Exactly, but I just think, for me, regardless on what universe it is, I never want to see a Joker backstory.
No,
I just want the Joker to be as he existed, and I think now we're in a time where they're constantly trying, regardless, to give you that backstory. That is not necessary. Everyone doesn't.
There's an effort. There's an effort, and it's not just in cinema and TV. It's in society as well, which I find worrying. The idea that you've got to sort of pick apart villainy and almost make excuses for it. And I don't like to see. I don't like to see our culture doing that. I think I worry about the signal that it sends. So when I hear about a Star Wars TV show, for example, that attempts to, because George Lucas was very, very clear about what was powering the Star Wars universe, wasn't it? That clear divide between good and evil. So when they conceive of a TV show that blurs that line and uses it as a selling point, well, it's not Star Wars anymore. So why feel the need to do that? Why do it? It's that deconstructive thinking, isn't it? And that kind of spitefulness. Obviously, I don't think that's what's behind something like Joker, but I think the unfortunate aspect to a film like this, quite an artsy superhero film, is that it will feed into that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the first movie was okay. I watched it once. I may watch it again one day. I'm indifferent. I'm not interested in following you at all. Too many outlets are selling this as a musical, but for some reason, Warner Brothers seems very reluctant to admit as such. Probably because they know that guys like me really don't want to see a musical.
It puts me off.
Yeah, I mean, Lady Gaga did a press conference where she said it's not a musical, and then went on to say the way that music is used is to really give the characters a way to express what they mean, because the scene and dialogue is just not enough. It's a musical. It's got 15 cover songs in it. It's a fluffy musical.
And they did the same with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. If you saw the trailer for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory,
the Wonka movie,
there was no music in the trailer whatsoever. And when I went to see it, there was music everywhere. I was like, what? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
that's how I got conned into watching Sweeney Todd.
Yeah.
There was
I love that.
in the trailer.
That is one of my favourite Burton films, come to think of it.
Joker had a 55 million budget and made $1 billion.
Yes.
And this has got a budget of 200 million. And I'm completely not enthused. I don't like musicals. My wife and kids don't like musicals. Who exactly is this for?
It's for the people who saw the first one, and some people did go and see that film multiple times. I think they're just trying to get them back to pump them for more.
Exactly. I think it'll do well. I think it'll get a reasonable return at the box office, but similar to Z, I've just got no interest in this whatsoever. And this is me as a DC fan, but at least they're trying new things, I suppose.
I don't know if it's going to be a success or not, because a lot of the review sites, I mean, IGN has given it 5 out of 10.
Todd Phillips didn't want to make this. He was coaxed. He was coaxed into it, probably with money. He never wanted to make a third Hangover film either, and the same thing happened then. The third Hangover movie is terrible. So Todd has got form for doing this, for going back to the well. Just that one time too many. Peter Harrington says it should have been a one and done for Joker. Fantastic movie, doesn't need a sequel. Darren M says the first Joker was a poor remake of American Psycho with a dash of Taxi Driver and King of Comedy. To be honest, I mean, Todd Phillips did acknowledge all of those things when he was promoting Joker. Yeah. They had a lot of fun with that film, and they were very clear what was in its DNA. So I'm fine. I'm fine with all that. Star Hooven, if you want my take on the Batman, you can find a full review of that here on the channel, and I think my thoughts on it earlier on in this very stream. And Lee Smith says postmodernism is killing cinema. Chris, is this another symptom of that? I mean, what do you make of this?
Joker does cats.
Okay. Oh no!
I saw the first movie in the theater. I really liked it. At the time, I said, "Don't make a sequel. This doesn't need to have a sequel. It's perfect as a standalone." I found that the first one hasn't aged that well. I remember watching it again last week, about a year ago, after all the hype had died down. I'm like, it's good, but not. I don't remember it being. It's not the work of genius that I remembered. This movie does not need to exist. I have no desire to see it. The trailer looks awful. I can't stand Lady Gaga.
I don't like her either.
She's just reprehensible.
Yeah.
Just an attention-seeking little insert word that will get Dan demonetized. This doesn't.
We're going to have to do
the ultimate cash grab.
We're going to have to do Rumble exclusives editions of this show, or Grumble exclusives, I should say, and then you can say all these words to your heart's content, mate. Go on, carry on.
No, it's as soon as this was announced, my first word was why, and then I found out Lady Gaga was into it, and I don't think I'm even going to bother watching this one, to be honest. And I'm also superhero fatigue. For me, it's definitely. I'm sick of superhero movies. They've been run into the ground. It's been mediocre across the board for the past 5 years. This entire genre needs to go away for at least a decade.
Yeah.
The movie will actually, I don't even know. It's hard to say if this movie will actually do well, because how many DC movies haven't flopped? Like
majority of them.
Lately, the majority of them haven't they? And
it's just
even the good ones.
Yep. This is for me. I think this is a pass. I don't. I have, and it's probably going to be. I'm guessing it's 2.5 hours long. I have better things to do with my time. I don't have time. I don't have enough time to watch the movies I want to watch. This is not something I'd even bother watching to review on my my Shouty channel. Even the goat couldn't be bothered with this. So I'm just I'm gonna pass. This is a movie that doesn't need to exist. It's a movie that nobody asked for. I think it's gonna do nothing but damage to the first movie, the way Wonder Woman 1984 is completely destroyed the formerly.
Oh bloody hell! I forgot about that. That was terrible.
First movie.
But you know what, Bright? Why did they decide to make this sequel? I understand why they made the sequel to Joker, for money, but why did they decide to go this route? Couldn't they decide? Couldn't they just had an easy story, like he escapes from jail and becomes the Joker, does the Joker things and then gets caught at the end.
And
That's a simple story. Why haven't they included?
I think it's probably
brilliant.
I think it's probably because they were bored. They were bored by that idea, and because he's sort of been coaxed into making this movie in the first place.
Yeah.
It's okay. What can I do to make this interesting for myself? And I can see why they'd go after somebody like Lady Gaga and a character like Harley Quinn, who for a while, Harley Quinn was massively popular in the wake of Batman the Animated Series, and the lead of a really great comic book series in the late 90s into the early noughties. But since Margot Robbie, Harley Quinn has become sort of synonymous with her and appeared in a couple of shit movies. So this could actually redeem that character a little. I don't know, but it just all doesn't coalesce to make a film that feels like it's an essential. It feels like an afterthought.
I think it's also been put in place and greenlit by Zaslav because they're thinking, well, we need something as a holdover until the James Gunn DC verse turns up.
Because they turned this around quite quick. Now you mentioned it, John, didn't they?
They did because it only got greenlit when Warner and Discovery merged,
which was less than 2 years ago. My God, I hadn't thought of that. It's out on October the 4th. That's Joker Folie à Deux, which I'm just going to call Joker 2 from now on. Directed again by Todd Phillips, stars Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga there. The following week, though, you can get in touch with your inner child if you're an 80s kid. Hands up, 80s kids. Any 80s kids?
Yay!
Yeah, me too. Well, you may be born again. Come October the 11th, when Transformers 1 is released in UK cinemas. This is the first Transformers animated movie we're talking Beetlejuice times, aren't we? Like 37 years. Obviously, animation has moved on considerably since Transformers the movie with that song from way back then, which I saw in the cinemas. This is a whole new ball game, a new continuity as well, and a million miles away, it seems, from the Michael Bay live action movies, which I think everybody got sick of 10 years ago. They keep bloody making the things. The premise of this is slightly different, and it tells the untold origin story of Optimus Prime and Megatron, better known as sworn enemies, but once they were friends, bonded like brothers, who changed the fate of Cybertron forever.
Can I just say on this that I'm going to need a happy pill after this, Dan, because again, firstly, why do we need an origin story for the Transformers, for crying out loud? The second thing is
money.
When you watch the trailer, they don't look anything like the Transformers that everybody loves. They look terrible. The comedy that they've put into it is absolutely awful. And when you compare it to the 80s movie, the animated movie, I don't know how they can get things so wrong. You know, just give us something like that in that style. I remember watching what was the last movie that came out? It was
The thing is, John, in all fairness, playing devil's advocate, it was 37 years ago. Animation's moved on so much.
I know
the techniques,
but they keep failing it. There's an iconic look to them, and they just don't have that iconic look in it. And I think it.
Again,
they wonder why
that looks like Optimus Prime to me. Yeah,
not in the trailer though. If you look at the trailer, looks completely different.
The cartoon's very very childish, isn't it? And also, I heard that the story is very adult. That's what I. Well,
heard. That's the strange thing. So I've watched the trailer to this as well, and John's quite right. The humour it's very difficult to work out. No, actually, it's not difficult to work out. This is clearly a kids' film, a family stroke kids' film that lads and dads can go and see together, or even granddads, dads and lads now can go and see this all together. And what they've tried to do, I think, is to serve a family film for all generations and include humour in this, which is borderline inappropriate. So, yeah, it's true the little ones aren't going to get some of the jokes that are in the trailer about putting your middle finger up and things like that, but it still kind of pollutes a universe which is, generally speaking, particularly in the animated form, it should be preserved as a very innocent place.
Well,
I think
you look at the 80s animated series, and you know, there are elements of comedy in it, but they played it serious, and that's what made it so popular. I don't think for kids and young kids, you always have to go the humorous route. You just make it engaging. You make the characters engaging, but it just fell flat for me, and I can't see it doing overly well, if I'm honest.
I'm a huge Transformers fan, right from Generation 1. That this was my bag, and it was the cartoons, the comics, and I stopped watching because obviously it's been reinvented on television now. There've been so many different Transformers animated TV shows. I stopped trying to keep up with them, never mind watch them. So to me, this is just one of about 20 different takes on these characters. And so when they do look at them again and redesign them, and sort of it goes to a different network or something like that, or bring in a new creative, I decide there and then, am I on board for this one? Shall I have a look at this one? And, you know, I went back to it when my kids were little, and they got into Transformers Armada, it was at the time, and there was a sequel show to that. So I've gone back to it here and there. This one, though, being the first one to go back to cinemas, to be the first one that's attempted, as John said, to do something quite audacious into giving the mythology a prequel, which you're quite right, John, it doesn't need.
Yeah.
But at least, I suppose you could say at least it's something new for the Transformers universe. I am more interested in this than I've been in a Transformers project for a really long time, since the Bumblebee movie from a few years ago. But before that, probably since that first live action film, this has got my attention. I am interested. Chris Hemsworth and Scarlett Johansson are in the voice cast, and to be honest, I don't care about any of that. It could be anybody. So why they paid a fortune for people like that, I have no idea.
So the movie.
I'd love this.
Cha-ching,
Yeah,
cha-ching,
right.
cha-ching.
But does it sell the movie though? Because
It
the
does
little
around the
kids
world.
don't. But little kids don't know who the hell. Yeah, maybe it sells it
Around
in
the world,
other
yeah.
territories. Yeah, good point. You know, obviously, you know, we're probably all a bit too long in the tooth for this.
Maybe
Any
not.
other-
I mean, I've watched 2 trailers for Transformers 1. The Transformers
What did you
movies
think?
They're a secret pleasure of mine, the Transformers movie.
Okay.
I absolutely love the first one, the Michael Bay one. And
It's
I will
fantastic,
be watching
yeah.
this. I will say that I did find the comedy very cringe, and I'm not looking forward to what is essentially a teenage Optimus Prime and a sympathetic backstory for Megatron.
It looks like they're all.
Well,
It looks
you
like they're all
like it 'cause
teenagers,
you're-
doesn't it?
You like it because you're a droid and there's loads of robots.
Well, anything with droids in, I'm going to love.
It does seem that what they're attempting to do with this is kind of the revenge of the Sith of Transformers. So we're going to see like Obi-Wan and Anakin together, and then we see how they fall out and become enemies, and that looks like what they're doing with this, which I think is perfectly viable. And generally speaking, John, yeah, they don't need to tell this story, but there's been so many versions of Transformers now, and it's been done quite a lot of damage to. I actually think it's probably harmless. And I was actually, when I saw the trailers myself, I feel the same way about the humour as you. But I actually I thought the animation was pretty fantastic. And
you know
I did think the characters were, apart from Megatron, I think all the other characters are really quite recognisable. And for the most part, I'm sort of quite well predisposed to this. I think this is fine. And although I won't see it in the cinema, certainly not for 18 quid, maybe not for 7. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing this. I think I did feel that it conjured up something of the magic of Transformers.
Do you know that Bumblebee movie? I will say,
I liked it.
Yeah, that
The Travis Knight one.
What I loved about the beginning of that Bumblebee version was they actually did on Cybertron. They did like Gen 1. They looked really good. The Transformers at that point, and Soundwave and everyone there. And I thought, oh yeah, give me some more of that. They look brilliant, you know. But we never got that going forward, and it's such a shame because, again, in my head, that's what I've wanted since the 80s. But I don't get what I want.
They abandoned it fairly early, didn't they? I mean, films like this, though, Transformers one, for me, it's for either literally the children or the inner child, and that obviously that's going to vary from person to person, isn't it, Ian? You talked about you've got nieces, haven't you? And you talked about the things that you go and see with them. They're a little old for Transformers 1, aren't they? But
well, the
you
thing
must
is
have, when they were younger, you probably saw several films like that with them.
They weren't even born when the first Transformers movie came out. My niece. So the thing is though, cinema is well low in their things to do because they're always on their phone, right? But
Okay.
yeah, the film that my nieces mostly wanted to see was Deadpool versus Wolverine. They definitely wanted to see that. So there are certain films that they want to go and see, and Transformers is not on their list at all. You know, so it's
still a boyish thing, isn't it? Even though they've got the character of RC. I have to be careful how I say that. RC is in this, voiced by Scarlett Johansson, and they do try and make sure that character is very visible in any modern take of Transformers. But she first appeared in Transformers, the movie, back in '86. This is a boys' brand. Absolutely. Not exclusively, but absolutely a boys' brand. And the girls that did like it, it's just like with Star Wars and a million of other things, the girls that did like it liked it as it was. So they don't need to see it sort of turned on its head to meet any kind of quotas. I don't know. As I say, I can see that mileage is going to vary on this. I can see entirely where John's coming from. But I think I'm going to watch this, and I kind of liked the trailer. I did.
Kind of with you on that. It is a little bit kiddish, but I still have that flame of the kid still in me.
It's the current day language, the speech patterns of modern children that I find great in. But then again, it sort of comes with the territory, I think, in some ways.
But you know what, right? Though, when I look at that poster, it always reminds me of the toy my brother got.
Which one was that?
The one on the poster, the big one.
Yeah,
I don't know anything about Transformers. Who's that again?
Optimus Prime.
Optimus Prime. He was a truck, right? And then he turned into a...
That's right.
Yeah, because my brother, that always reminds me of the toys, right? Never has a Transformer movie remind me of the movie. Every time I see Transformers, it always reminds me of the toys because that's what I knew before the movies. I did like the first one, the Michael Bay film, even though I find it confusing which robot was hitting which. But it was enjoyable all the same. Second one was okay. Third one just went off the rails, and the rest just are the rest. But what I'm saying is that I probably won't go and see this film. And what's interesting is that they're making films aimed for people like us, yet expecting a new crowd to come in. If a new crowd don't know what it is, how are they going to come in? We know what it is, so that when they're relying on us to tell them what it is, so they can go and see it. It just none of it makes sense to me. Maybe
we do things do tend to get passed down like that. We have flushed out the G1 Transformers fans in the live chat across YouTube, Rumble, and X. I'm happy to say, John, and people comparing which version is their favourite, but which of the movies is their favourites, all that kind of thing. And Mark Milford says, hi, Mark, he says the problem with remakes is that instead of building on nostalgia, they change enough elements to leave fans feeling disconnected. You see, to me, as I said, only to me, this looks a lot like what I'd expect a Transformers animated movie to look like in 2024. It's recognisable markers that are there. And I think it will depend on the individual. Something for the kiddies, says Lee Smith. Exactly. There's nothing wrong with that at all, even as we're heading towards the Halloween season. Because kids do love robots.
I'm assuming they made this into a cartoon because it's cheaper to make it into a cartoon, because there was nothing stopping them from actually, because there's no humans in this. There's nothing stopping them from actually doing 3D animation for this film. But yet they decided to do a cartoon version of it, which I believe the reason why they did that, because it's a lot more cheaper than doing photorealistic, animation.
Well, they did. Wasn't there a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles animated movie earlier this year that did really, really well? And that was all. That was the. Yeah, was it called Mutant Mayhem or something like that? Everybody thought that was going to be.
Not talking about that one.
But exactly, everybody thought that was going to be a stinker, and nobody would go and watch it. And the criticisms I'm seeing against this trailer for Transformers 1 are largely the same that were directed at that Turtles film, and yet it found an audience, did very, very well, and they're making, obviously, because they're going to make another one, all that kind of thing. So it could be difficult to predict with this kind of thing.
Yeah, it wasn't I only got dragged to see that Turtles film by Shah, would you believe? Shah dragged me to see that film. I'm like, dragged me kicking and punching. She literally dragged me to the cinema. I did not want to see it.
Oh, Shah cracks
but
me
the thing
up.
is, though, I enjoyed it, though. It was fun, but I wouldn't go out my way to see another one. Do you know what I mean? So
1990 movie for Turtles. That's it. I'm afraid. I'm not.
After that, it's a bust. Transformers 1 is in the cinemas on October the 11th here in the UK, as is. So if that you're thinking, oh, enough of all that sort of stuff, I haven't got any kids, I've got no inner kid, I don't want any of that, maybe you want some of this. It's another sequel. It's called Terrifier 3. My God. And it stars David Howard Thornton and Lauren Lavera, and the synopsis says Art the Clown is set to unleash chaos on the unsuspecting residents of Miles County as they peacefully drift off to sleep on Christmas Eve. So yeah, this is, even though it's released in the middle of October, this is the third Terrifier film. I think you've told me about the Terrifier series before, Chris. So over to you.
Oh yes, I have. Art the Clown is my jam, and I didn't get to comment on Transformers.
Oh, didn't you? Go on. Sorry, I didn't know you.
About all I was going to say is the second Michael Bay movie is the only movie that can actually induce a migraine in me. So, that's out of the way. Art the Clown is my hero. We finally, you could say it with horror. The nice thing about horror is it's the only genre that still has originality, mainly because they don't, relative to big movies, they don't make that much money, but they make a lot of profit because they're very cheap to make. I ranked this up there with Friday the 13th and A Nightmare on Elm Street as and Saw. Yeah, I know people will make fun of me, I don't care. Is one of the greatest horror movie franchises in history. When I saw when the first Terrifier came out, everybody kept saying, you got to check this out. I'm like, okay, I'll check it. So couple months, watched it. This is the coolest thing I've ever seen. It's also one of the most deranged, disturbing, nightmare-inducing, all practical effects. There are scenes in these movies where you look at it like, I can't believe they actually did that. And no, they did that.
Well, you described the first one to me on this show about 2 years ago. I couldn't stop thinking about your description of it for 48 hours. There's no way I'm going to go and see it.
Well, there's a couple iconic scenes. Well, in the second one, there's the bedroom murder scene. That must seem to be believed. There's the scene in the first one where a lady is, how shall I describe this without getting Dan in trouble, hung upside down and becomes two pieces.
Right. This is all sounding quite familiar, Chris. Yeah, it does sound. But this does look very well made.
The bedroom scene in the set when a certain character gets killed in the bedroom. It's something that must be seen. And these are all practical effects. Like, this is some of the bloodiest stuff imaginable.
Never heard of it. I've never heard of this at all.
You talked about this before.
Did I? Oh,
yeah.
Well,
yeah, you were on that show. You must have blanked it out. I mean, clearly, Damien Leone is the director of the third one. He directed the other two as well. It's clearly he's found a groove with this and found an audience, Chris.
This is going to be one of my favorite Christmas movies. I will be seeing this opening day. I'm guessing that it will come out on physical media before Christmas. I'm going to watch the first two movies again. Here's what I'll say about Terrifier. So Art the Clown is not a nice man. Well, basically, he's sort of
it looks like Beetlejuice's nastier brother.
It's quite subtle. Yeah,
he is the creepiest villain you'll ever see. In the first movie, there's a scene at the beginning of the movie where they're sitting in a diner, and Art the Clown just comes in with this bag of body parts and sits down in a booth and just stares at them. And they make the mistake of kind of making fun of Art the Clown. And then it ends badly for everyone, including the people in the restaurant in the most terrible of ways. I can't describe the death scenes.
Oh, hold on. So, Bostrick, so these kind of films, are they like the Friday the 13th?
This is on a whole new level. This is, I can't believe they did that and put that on screen.
All right.
So awesome.
This is more prosthetic
gore.
Effects and gore horror film.
It is gore,
right?
It is.
Okay.
Damn! It's so I'm actually I never get excited for movies anymore. I am genuinely excited for this. This is I can already tell you this is going to be my favorite movie of the year. Now, if you're squeamish, you can't deal with this. Is beyond gore. This is like the reinvention of gore on a whole new level of gore. If you don't like gore, you may not want to watch this because there are some things that you won't be able to unsee.
Oh God!
If you love horror, if you love classic slashers, if you love real practical effects, if you love over the top, if you already have issues with clowns, maybe this will be a bit.
The clown thing doesn't freak me out, but that gore does. I gather, Z, you know, we were talking earlier on about horror. Seeing as it's not your bag, this must be the very least interesting film that we've laid before you on this edition of the show.
Certainly is. Just get in the bin. There's nothing about this thing that interests me at all. I didn't even know there were 2 of these already out.
Oh, there are, and well, 2 of them, and there's also All Hallows Eve, which is where he's introduced. He's a very nice man.
But the thing is though, the effects the prosthetic effects they do today is 10 times more real than it was when they were making.
It freaks me out.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching what's that one, Bad Monkey? I don't know if you was it Bad Monkey?
With Vince Vaughn in it.
Vince Vaughn, and they had that hand, that arm, the cut off arm, and that looked so real. I mean, compared to if you go back like 10, 20 years, and you saw a slasher movie and somebody's arm got cut off, it never looked real. But
flapping around.
Yeah, now when you see it, it does look very, very real. So I'm not going to be watching this film.
Oh no, but not only is it real, it's over exaggerated. Like I said, I can't describe what happens to that poor girl in her bedroom in the second movie. You literally have to see it because it is one of the it might be the goriest scene I've ever seen, and this is coming from somebody who's obsessed with horror. So it's practical effects, but it's taken to the next level.
Right.
Actually, that's kind of an understatement. I know I say this a lot, but it must be seen to be believed. If you love horror, watch these movies. Don't get popcorn at the theater. Do not get hot dogs or any food like that, because that will end badly.
Chris, is part of the appeal, because I'm with you, Z. You know, I've never even seen the Saw movies, partly for the same reason. Is part of the appeal, Chris, the fact that from people such as yourself, horror devotees?
Are you saying I'm a twisted person, Dan?
Not at all. Well, the jury's out, mate. It depends on your answer to this question. Is the truth of the matter, is it a technical thing? Are people who are really into horror as well fascinated by that which the filmmaker can make you believe is real? Exactly as Ian was saying, and obviously the point in which we're out is going to, again, depend on the individual. Is it like that? Like, they made it look, that could be so real. Is that what horror fans enjoy?
One is the technical level, and those of us that, my favorite genre is classic horror, which I say 70s, 80s, sort of into the 90s. Classic horror fans, we love practical effects, and that is what this has in spades, and it's modern practical effects. And it's even worth, there's one of my favorite YouTube channels, if you haven't seen it, it's a channel called Grim Life Collective. And they look at horror sets and horror movies, where things were filmed and stuff like that. And there's a video where around, I guess it was about 2 years ago, where they actually got a tour of the sets where Terrifier 2 was filmed, and you can literally see how ground level this was. I'm like, it's literally in a garage. You see how they came up with the effects. And it's literally like this was made, and this was the second one. This, massive profits on the second one. But Damien Leone, basically, it's a rented garage.
All right, Chris, can I ask you a question then? So this will determine whether I watch this film, because I'm not really a big fan of horror films. I do like them, but I'm not really. Okay, right. So if you look at The Thing, right, the bit with the guy gets his hand bitten off by someone's stomach. Right, that's wonderful, but you can tell that's an effect and that's rubber and whatever and stuff. It's very well done. But as I said, when I was watching Bad Monkey and that hand looks so real. Now, the question to you, Chris, is in this film, does those practical effects look like that real hand in Bad? Because if it does, especially
I've got
what
to
she does
see
the
Bad
woman
Monkey now.
in the woman in the bedroom, I am not watching it. You know what I mean? If it's
Well,
that
no,
realistic.
it's a little hard to describe, but it's done deliberately where you can tell it's fake because
Ah,
it's
right,
so
okay.
over the top. I'm like,
Okay.
arms come off, and then you got like
Yeah.
the burst of blood, which you'd see in
Right.
the
Ian,
but
he's lying to
classic
you.
for
He's lying to you.
some of the stuff is so over the top, but dude, there are also some scenes that you can't get out of the head, like the upside down lady, which I will not.
That doesn't sound
You
good.
can't really
Oh,
unsee
no,
that,
no,
and
no.
you will be cringing the whole time.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's one horror. There's one guy who had a teddy bear, and he sort of reenacted what happened. So see, what's his name? Elvis the Alien.
right,
He
okay.
reenacts it with the teddy bear. So if you want to see what happens, a decent YouTube channel. But
Right,
yeah,
okay.
it's but there's stuff like that. That scene in the bedroom in the second film. Then there's a lot. Like the second film is like 2.5 hours long, and it's an unending gore fest. It's like it's over the top. It is absolutely ridiculous. It is awesome, but it's not for the squeamish. Do not eat anything while you're watching either of these movies. And
Okay.
if you're a horror fan, go. If you don't like horror movies,
Part of me so wishes that I could.
Saw, no, Sawn is like a day in the park with ponies compared to this.
You're not making me
I'm
think
gonna
that
have
I
to.
should
I'm
watch
gonna have
this.
to pass on Terrifier
Yeah, it
3.
does look like
It's
it, yeah.
out on October the 11th in UK cinemas. I'm going to pass on that. A few people in the live chat are horror fans. Retro Doc Gary Akers says, "I thought Bad Monkey was the name of the next Planet of the Apes film. Maybe the one after the next. You never know." And people lamenting practical effects. Obviously, films like An American Werewolf in London and The Thing. All those fantastic movies from years gone by that we all love so much. So that doesn't really look like my bag. But what does, I think this is the kind of level that I would be at. This is out a week later on October the 18th, is Smile 2. And this one is directed by Parker Finn. I don't know who that is. Stars Naomi Scott. I've never heard of her either. And I didn't even know there was a Smile 1, but there must have been.
Yeah, I see
But the premise for this one is that about to embark on a world tour, global pop sensation Sky Riley begins experiencing increasingly. Who writes these frigging things? You can write them, but you can't say them, right, Carrie? Sky Riley experiences terrifying, inexplicable events. Overwhelmed by the escalating horrors and the pressures of fame, Sky is forced to face her past. The trailer to this was really chilling, absolutely fantastic. I really want to see this, and I probably would see it at the cinema. It looks scary in the same way that first
one, Dan.
It looks scary in the same way that first movie in the Purge series was scary. No, I've not seen the first one. Ian, over to you. Should I see the first one? What do you think of this? You're going to go and see this?
I think, I might go and see this. I think the first one was really entertaining, personally.
Okay.
You should watch the first one. I thought it was entertaining. It is very creepy and stuff like that. And the ending did suggest...
I like being creeped.
Suggest there was going to be a sequel. But it seems like they've taken this, like the first the first and the second Halloween. Then they made the third one, which absolutely nothing connected to Halloween 1 and 2. I think
because the Halloween series was going to be an anthology series, wasn't it, originally?
So I think this one is kind of like doing that, but it's kind of still being there, if you know what I mean. Because
Naomi Scott wasn't the star of the first one.
No, she wasn't.
Okay.
She wasn't. So I don't know what road they're going down on this one, but it does look interesting. I might go and see it. Yeah.
Z, does the description of this appeal any more? Because there was no gore in the trailer. It was more disturbing. It wasn't Hitchcockian, but then again, it wasn't Terrifier style
I haven't
either.
actually seen the first one, but I am going to watch it on Ian's recommendation because I've often found that things that Ian does recommend tend to be quite good.
Oh, really?
He's very difficult to please with when it comes to movies and TV, and isn't he? I've known him for a few years. He's a bit of a sod for that.
Yeah.
We love you, man.
Cheers. I don't know. I think I'll go and see the second one, see what it's like. It's going to be interesting.
How about you, John? Are you aware of the Smile movies that I'd never heard of? And because I love The Purge and all that sort of stuff, and they're kind of anthology-like as well. Is this your bag?
I'm aware of them. They're not my bag, but I might give it a try after, again, like Z said, what Ian said. I don't want to big him up too much, but yeah, after what he said. But,
Don't listen to me.
I will say just quickly, it's a comedy, but I class it as a horror. I saw a trailer earlier for it's called Jackpot, starring Aquafina.
Oh,
Anything
yeah.
starring Aquafina in it, I class as a horror movie because she has to be some sort of,
Jackpot.
she has to be some sort of military or government secret weapon because she makes me convulse every time she comes on screen.
She
She's
said
a-
it's on Amazon.
I've
That's on
actually
Amazon.
blocked that on the ad kept coming up for Jackpot
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
YouTube. You have the option where you can block certain. I cannot stand Aquafina.
Yeah,
It's like no.
she's my nemesis.
Yeah.
I have no idea who or what you're talking about.
Are you not? Have you never heard of Aquafina?
Is it? Hang on, Z. Is it a person or is it a place?
She's a person.
Okay.
She's
she was in Shang-Chi.
Yeah,
She was the sidekick.
Marvel's
She also
Katie.
ruined Renfield.
Yeah.
she's got the voice like she smoked 20 packs of cigarettes for breakfast.
You know that singing clip from which movie was it? The live action Little Mermaid. The one that's her.
Yeah.
You know, right?
Bloody
You know, so you've seen Renfield, right, Dan?
That's the Nicolas Cage vampire movie.
She's the policewoman
No, I haven't seen it.
that teams up with. Anyway, okay.
Yeah.
I like that movie. I like Nicolas Cage, but she ruins that movie.
Yeah, she did ruin
The
it.
second she shows up on
Yeah.
screen.
And
Is she?
as
is she a
Peter
bit like-
Harrington said, she did the bird's voice in the Disney remake of Little
Did, yeah.
Mermaid,
Yeah.
so that says it all.
She's like the living embodiment of nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you want me to watch this film? Okay, I'll give it a try.
As Chris is just trying to encourage Ian to watch certain horror movies a few minutes ago, she is the horror for your audio horror for your ears.
We've got a few.
The thing is, though, Hollywood is trying to take
Yeah.
female actors who are not so good looking and trying to pass them off
Make
as
them
good looking.
stars, yeah.
And she is one of them. So
Yeah, I know they keep trying to push her. I have no idea why. Like, you know, you have somebody who has a genuine talent like Jenna Ortega. I'm fine with pushing her. You know, and she also is one of the few actresses that seems to have a head on her shoulders. So I'm fine with pushing somebody like that, somebody with genuine talent. Why they keep pushing Aquafina? There is no redeeming qualities of this individual at all.
You've got me really curious about this person now. I've got to check her out.
Dan, you're just going to have to watch the whole range of her movies throughout.
I'll watch everything she's ever made by next Saturday, everybody. Yes, back to Smile 2. We've got, so we've got this one from Bunch of Wallies who says, they all sound like straight to DVD movies. I suppose they do, but
they all are.
Do they? Yeah, I mean, do they make straight to DVD movies anymore? I always liked a lot of the straight to DVD movies. So it's
Called straight to streaming now.
Yes. Yeah, straight to streaming has sort of taken its place. Peter Harrington's a fan of The Purge. I'll see Smile 2 when it streams on Paramount Plus as well. So Sentai Ranger Donnie. There you go. So. Yeah,
Paramount Plus is still going.
From what I saw of in the trailer to this did look like it was worthy of being in a cinema. That's how I felt about Smile 2. I was on the edge of my seat. I had no idea who the actress was. I have no idea about the previous. No idea. But it really, really creeped me out. It's exactly the kind of thing that I think I'd enjoy. So yeah, I think I'll probably I'll go and get the first one, and then I'll go and see this.
You know what, right? I'd just like to take you down memory lane, right? Especially Chris. When Dan was saying that he likes watching like B pictures and stuff like that, before streaming, it was Blockbuster Video Friday night.
Yeah.
Looking at the horror collection, reading the box, looking at the graphics on the box, going, that looks interesting.
They still exist. No, there is there's a horror boutique label,
all right,
Vinegar Syndrome Region 1, that basically they specialize in horror schlock,
right?
And it's awesome. Although they actually, you know, they have amazing. They've got an amazing restoration of Amityville Horror. You know, they've done some major titles, but for the most part,
Yeah, I've seen that.
they started re-releasing adult films from the 70s, but no, that's what they released. That stuff that we saw in the video store in the 80s and 90s, that's what comes up.
But what the point I'm trying to make is that now you're on streaming and you're scrolling. When you go back the way we used to do it, you literally picked up something physical. Yeah, and you were swayed by the poster on the box. So you'd be like, some guy with a knife. You'd be like, maybe I should watch this.
Well,
the scene would never be in the movie. The movie would look like ass. Like maybe this says something about me. I love terrible horror movies, like old, not modern ones, but terrible horror from the 80s. I love it, and I don't judge me if you want.
John,
but that goes back to not just horror, but you know, the reason I love collecting stuff even today is because, and this goes with gaming as well, is because you used to get the fantastic boxes and the covers for these movies and these games. So you'd get home and that would sell you a game, even though it looked nothing like it, or the movie. And they were great. And you just don't get the same feeling with watching a streaming and pressing the button. I love the artwork.
That's why we do physical media. But Vinegar Syndrome, you got the original artwork, you got the physical case. You know, when you look at it, this is going to be terrible, and I'm going to love every second of it.
I think we'll definitely have to give it a couple of weeks, Chris. We're going to have to do another physical media show. When I look at those re-releases, and I noticed the Amityville was recently re-released by 88 Films in Britain as well. And a lot of the times they put them out on Blu-ray and they commission beautiful artwork by fabulous graphic artists to wrap around it. You know, really, really nice stuff. But in all honesty, given the choice, more often than not, I will use the reversible sleeve option because I want that original artwork that I would have seen lining the shelves of the video store back in the 80s. It is very much part of it for me. But I like the fact they give us a choice.
Yeah, sometimes it would just be the poster that would persuade you to watch it. I remember going to school and seeing the poster for The Exterminator. I don't know if you remember that film. It was literally a guy.
The guy with the blowtorch?
And with the mask on his face and the blowtorch. It's like, amazing. I want to see that film. And it was terrible.
No, you know what, Ian? I never saw the film because I knew it could never be. I knew people who'd seen it. I knew kids who'd seen it because I was very young when I used to stare at that cover. Yeah. And they all said, it's not as good as you. And I never wanted to harm the film that I thought that must be in my head by actually watching it. So I know exactly what you mean. People comparing notes about physical media as well in the live chat. Oh, Blockbuster Happy Days, says Stephen Braddock. So that was Smile. That's out on October the 18th. So it's a little while to wait for that as we head up towards Halloween there. And to finish off, there's this one. So this one stars Tom Hardy. He's back in the role as Eddie Brock in the third, and they say
everybody, this is where I leave. Have fun.
The third and the final Venom film. So this is the last of our selections for this edition of the show. It's out on October the 25th. Venom: The Last Dance. Eddie and Venom are on the run, hunted by both of their worlds, and with the net closing in, the duo are forced into a devastating decision that will bring down the curtains on Venom and Eddie's last dance. I watched the trailer to this. It was noisy nonsense that I couldn't quite believe what I was seeing. Tom Hardy seems to have a blast making these movies. They promise it's going to be the last one. It's directed by Kelly Marshall, who's a friend of Tom Hardy's. And
directed by who?
Kelly Marshall, her name is. She's a British director. Yeah.
Kelly Marcel she used to be a screenwriter. I used to know her when I was a kid. She went to she wrote that dinosaur TV show for Spielberg.
Dinosaurs?
Kelly Marcel, she's directing
dinosaurs.
Now,
she wrote that.
Yeah. It says here I've got a bit about her. Is Kelly Marcel is a writer for film and television. Started her career in musical theatre with a UK version of Debbie Does Dallas the musical. She's co-artistic director now of the Bad Dog Theatre Company, which was founded in 2010 alongside her friend, the actor Tom Hardy, and the writer Brett Leonard. So it sounds like the same bird.
Yeah, she's got dark hair. She was very pretty when I knew her, and incredibly pretty, in fact. She used to be an actress before she became a writer. she had problems with drugs and stuff like that at one point, and next thing I knew, she was in Hollywood writing for Spielberg. So there you go.
Very good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Now she's
good luck to her.
directing this. Look, I loved the first Venom film whenever it came out. I think it's 2018, something like that. I thought it was a lot of fun. Massive fan of Venom in the Spider-Man comics. Obviously, that's where the character originated. I bought all those original issues, so I saw this character literally come to life out of the pages of Secret Wars, and then Todd McFarlane's run on Amazing Spider-Man really sort of turned the character inside out and created the whole idea of the symbiont who could sort of go from person to person and would turn into a malevolent sort of opposing force to Spider-Man himself. It's a fantastic time to be a reader of those books. They've tried to bring it to the screen several times since. This has been the most successful of all so far, at any rate. And yet, when I saw the second film, which I was really looking forward to, I actually fell asleep after 20 minutes, John.
Yeah, this can't be as bad as Let There Be Carnage. Can it?
Yeah, I
Can
hope
it?
not.
Probably. Well, what happened to Tom Hardy? He used to be a respected actor at one point, didn't he?
It just wants his payment for this.
I think Tom Hardy still does a pretty good job of spreading himself across stuff that's pretty worthy and
Money.
stuff like this.
Money.
I knew I was never going to get that R-rated Venom that I wanted. That was never going to happen because they wanted it for kids as well to watch, didn't they? But
So.
I didn't overly enjoy the first one, but it was passable. But the second one was absolute destruction. It was that bad.
Yeah.
Poor old Woody Harrelson. I don't know what he thought he was signing up to in that second one. But so are they actually confirming that this is definitely the last one?
So they say.
But isn't he going to be in the Spider-Man films? Wasn't that the plan?
No,
I think there's a plan because they're still quite tight-lipped at Sony, aren't they, about how close they want to tie the next cycle of Spider-Man movies, which are still going to star Tom Holland, apparently, how close they want to tie them to the actual MCU. So there is, I understand there is some sort of plan to marry these films to the Tom Holland films, but I have deliberately avoided all spoilers for this. Apparently, this does lead in to that kind of idea. So, who knows?
If you look at, I think it was it No Way Home or Doctor Strange? It was one of them where they did an end credits thing with Tom Hardy was in it at the bar.
Yes,
I remember that.
Yeah,
it was good. It was funny, amusing.
No Way Home.
He disappears back to his own universe, but there's a little bit of him left in this universe. So what they're going to do, clearly they'll use that as its own symbiote for the Marvel universe, I reckon.
Well, they own 20th Century Fox, don't they? Disney.
Yes.
Disney own, so yeah, it looks like a shoe-in, I guess.
This is what is it? This one's Sony, is it? Sony?
That's right.
Sony. Oh,
yeah. Yeah,
it also stars Juno Temple, whoever that is, and it's out on October the 25th. Maybe this will redeem it. I mean, I didn't like John Wick 2, but I love the third one. I felt the third one was kind of back to what I'd enjoyed so much about the first film. So perhaps they'll pull it together for this. Again, it's a different director. There is something infectious about Tom Hardy's performance as Eddie Brock, even though it's quite different from the Eddie Brock of the comics.
Yeah.
I think I may go for this. I think there's enough generosity left in my soul, left from the first one, and it's one of those films where if you hit play on this, you've got to be pretty aware of what you're going to get out of the deal potentially. It can only go so wrong. It can't. A bad film like this can't ruin your evening. You know, you've got to take some accountability for it yourself. I think, Z. So, Z, where are you with the superhero movies? You know, this strand from Sony. You know, Morbius was a disaster. That one with all the birds in, that was also a disaster.
Madam Web and Craven the Hunter we've got coming forward, and I'm really getting tired of Sony fumbling the ball. They've got the rights to so many excellent characters.
Yeah.
But they keep making Spider-Man adjacent movies.
Yeah.
We don't want
It's-
Spider-Man
Well, it's
adjacent
worked.
movies.
It worked once. Well, I didn't at the start, but it turns out I thought the first one of these was good. And to be fair, it works in comics. Venom has had his own comic series for a couple of decades now, off and on. Sometimes it's run for years. So I actually think that there's proof of concept, particularly with this, but with some of the other characters, just not the ones that. Not many of the ones they're actually using. I mean,
Craven looks shockingly bad. I have to
It
say.
does indeed. Yeah.
We'll definitely look at Craven later on in the year, because we'll have to do a sequel to this show for November and December, because that's in there with those movies. But again, just judging it on these terms, it's going to be 100 minutes of, as I've said, noisy nonsense that's potentially going to wrap something up. I mean, is this the kind of thing you'll watch as a sort of a beer and pizza movie, Z, or hang out with the wife?
I'll watch it at home, but I'm not going to go and watch it at the cinema. I've got to admit, Venom Horse did make me laugh a little. So
hey, that's in the trailer, isn't it? Yeah, that was a bit too much for me, I have to say. But the rest of the trailer, I thought, oh yeah, well, I've only got myself to blame really if I ever do watch this. It's that.
Yeah, but I will watch it. I'll give it a chance. So I'm not completely out. I'm not 100% with his portrayal of Eddie Brock.
Me neither.
Tom Hardy does mumble quite a bit, and sometimes I find him a little bit incoherent. But in spite of that, I'm still on board with this.
Yeah,
it's a curious thing, this, Chris, because obviously they're not kids' films, but they're not really grown-ups films either. They do play with sort of horror elements a little in these kind of movies. I think there's something of the Sam Raimi aesthetic to it. I think we're all rather bored with superheroes, though, for the most part, particularly superhero movies that play it straight. I mean, have you seen any of these Venom films? And is this the kind of film that a teenage Bolstrek would have liked?
I will summarize the Venom films like this. The first one was okay. The second one was absolutely atrocious. This one is just I'd say for me, this one's probably a miss. It's beyond superhero fatigue. It's just, it's the Sony. Well, actual Marvel has gone to hell, and Sony, they've had like one good movie, and that was the MCU. Everything, well, other than the original Spider-Man movies, you have failure from DC, you have failure from Marvel. The failure from Sony is something else. You have Morbius, you have Madam Web, you have this atrocity. I would say they're the lowest of the low. So as you can tell, I'm not very excited about this.
I don't
blame you.
I mean, I remember that Jason Statham made a really great movie a few years ago, quite a long time ago, called Crank, a high-concept sort of action movie that had a kind of intensity about it and a beautiful simplicity to it. It was a great 90 minutes in front of the TV, and it really did seem to catch something in a moment. And I'm not sure how well it did for Statham's career, because that's another question. But it's quite fondly remembered. They did the same thing with that. They sequeled it. The sequel was ridiculously noisy, absolutely outrageous and ridiculous, and yet somehow really, really boring, Ian. When you've got a film that makes that much noise and yet sends you to sleep, it's not a good sign, is it? Do you think they should have even bothered making the third one and capping this off, or could they bring it back? And is this the kind of thing you'd watch? Christmas movie with the nieces?
It's not. My nieces like the first two. I didn't think I thought the first one was passable past the time. I remember going to cinema on my own to watch it because I was so bored, wasn't doing anything, so I watched the first one. Second one I thought was absolute trash. I saw that on streaming. This one doesn't look good at all. Can't be asked to watch this one. Good luck, everybody. If you want to watch
He's back. He's back.
It's not my thing at all. Not my thing at all. So I wouldn't bother. But anyway.
So that one gets the Troy treatment from me, and then it's just different.
Gets the finger. Yeah.
So that's Venom. That's Venom: The Last Dance. There, it's out on October the 25th. As I say, I try to be generous towards this sort of stuff. I think I know what it's trying to do, but I can't see me going to the cinema to see it. I think I might watch the first two again and just to see if I was harsh on the second one. I don't know. Maybe I'll talk myself into it. Maybe Ian, maybe you'll end up, because I know what you'll do, Ian. You say, "Oh, I'm not going to go and see this," and then you'll send me a text and say, "I've just been to see Venom 3 with my nieces. Do you want to talk about it?"
No,
sorry, go ahead.
You'll beat that. You'll beat that. Ian will go and he'll watch like a marathon where one day he'll watch all three in the cinema. Toilet break.
He'll come out twitching and talking to himself. Hey, you already do that, don't you?
Yeah. It's just a waste of my time watching films like that. As I said, I got dragged to see Wolverine. Was it Deadpool and Wolverine?
You wanted to see that. You wanted to see that film
once. I thought it was good, and they got dragged again by my friends. Dragged by my nieces to see it again. So it's like, but whatever. I love cinema regardless. Put it that way. So.
Yeah.
The live chat has gone all quiet when it comes to Venom 3. Yeah, I don't think people are particularly charmed by it. People miss Spider-Man in these films, and I do understand why. I think if they had the right creative, the first film definitely struck a chord, but obviously that was like 6 years ago, so I think people have forgotten. I think stuff like this sort of has its moments, and just like we've been saying at various junctions throughout this show, Z, and that sometimes things are better left as one and dones, but Hollywood has always got to find that out the hard way, haven't they?
No, for sure. I mean, they keep picking IPs to develop that nobody's particularly interested in. I just wonder how long it's going to take before they get the message.
Yeah.
Go with what's popular and stick with the source material.
They're always aiming at us, though. That it's like, how do you expect a new audience to grow when you're giving them stuff that we only know? Do you know what I mean? And then there's that argument where, if they watch it, they could like it as well, but they wouldn't like it as much as us because we have the nostalgia and we know what the original ones were like. But I don't understand the logic that Hollywood is just putting out stuff that they claim that we're not the audience for the new stuff, yet they keep putting out stuff that we grew up with.
Exactly.
I'm confused. I'm totally confused. Anyway,
because they rely on us. This is what I talk. This is when I talk about the attention economy. If you starve these projects, these terrible projects of oxygen, don't talk about them. You're doing the publicity for them. Then they do die. I believe that the fact that a lot of people left that terrible Star Wars show, The Acolyte, alone, and didn't make videos about it and tweet about it anywhere near as much, is ultimately why they didn't make any more of it. I think if you sort of feed into it, they're going to keep on making this shit.
And the plus side for that is complete fatigue now is set in on that franchise, so nobody cares about it anymore. They just focus on the original trilogy.
They're making stuff for a modern audience.
For the time
modern
being,
audience just isn't there. I don't know if you guys have seen the trailer for Minecraft this week. It looks absolutely diabolical, and you've got outlets like Kotaku saying it's not made for you, and implying it's made for like 9-year-old boys and girls. Whereas if you look at the demographic for Minecraft, only 20.6% of players are under the age of 15. I can't believe Kotaku still exists, Z. They've been a joke for years, since long before the Culture War. They really can.
I think that film is going to be on a level as bad as the Borderlands movie that came out a few weeks ago.
The best summation I've seen of that is Critical Drinker put up a post with the publicity shot from the movie. And I agree with it 100%. This summarizes everything that's wrong with modern Hollywood.
Jason Momoa needs to fire his agent.
Yeah.
He's another bloke. He always seems like he's having a bloody good time, whatever he's in. But my God, has he done some dross. This has been the Spacebook Live with our 4 movies for 2024 preview there. So we've dug in to the schedules, the release dates for UK release dates, I should say, for a selection of movies there across a lot of the genres that we follow most closely, to give you our instincts about whether they could be worth your time queuing up in the cinema for and paying those extortionate prices for things like popcorn and drinks and everything else that they throw at us. But we want to know what you think of it all. Of course, we do about any of those movies and the other ones that we may not have covered. Is there anything else that you're looking forward to as well that stretches into the very final weeks of 2024? We're all ears here at the Spacebook, so please let us know in the comments section. At least we still have our balls, everybody. At least we can resort back to the simpler pleasures from our youth. Yes.
Very
Space
simple.
hoppers to you. Space hoppers to you as well. Yeah, we're back to more wholesome times there, and where we won't be thinking about Art the Clown and all that jazz, and terrible Marvel films and awful Star Wars abominations. So that's the list. That's what's coming out in September and October. Something for everybody. I'm not entirely sure, Chris, but there's definitely a couple that you're going to be chomping at the bit to go and see quite clearly.
Oh yeah, at some point we need to do a watch along of the first 2 Terrifier films. We'll do it live, just like
Good luck for that one.
do it over on Grumble. Yeah.
Exactly.
see what's going on. We've again, thank you for all the comments there in the live chat. We've been live streaming this to X, to YouTube, and to where else? Up to Rumble as well. We have comments about various other things. A great show. Says Stephen Braddock, thank you. Can't believe it's been 2 hours. Neither can I. It was supposed to be shorter. Thanks for joining us, and thank you for all the comments. Borderlands was cringe, says Lee Smith. Yeah, it did look really, really bad. My son was really upset about that because he's a massive Minecraft Borderland fan. Sorry, Minecraft looks effing awful, says Stephen Braddock. Agreeing with you lot. Not good, not good. So, what we want to know is which of the movies that we've talked about on this edition of the Spacebook Live are you now going to storm the cinema in search of? Have we changed your mind about any of those things? Turned you on to something you'd never heard of, or you'd been turned off by, or the reverse, completely turned you off to Venom 3, for example? Let us know there in the comment section. We take full responsibility, as we do for you this evening, Z. So thank you for joining us. It's your first time on the show, very much in the guest chair this time. So, have you enjoyed yourself?
I have. It's been an absolute pleasure to meet you guys and be on the stream with you again. Nice to meet you, John and Bolstrek.
And yourself,
Long time fan of yours, Chris. You're one of the first channels I subscribed to.
Oh well, thank you. I'm sorry if I disappointed with my angriness.
Oh no, not at all. I could tell with your Doctor Who reviews that they were making you physically annoyed.
It's been a secret that I haven't been very happy.
He doesn't like to talk about it, do you, mate?
For the past near decade. I mean, it's great. I can't say that with a straight face. Well,
keep up
thanks.
good work.
Thank you for your company, Z. It's been great to have you on. Thank you. Chris, as ever, it's great to have you back. I know you've been on a bit of an extended break from streaming, haven't you? But it's always good to catch up with you and to sort of to find out where you are with things that are sort of outside of the bigger franchises as well. Because in all sincerity, you are a huge movie fan, aren't you? You've got a big physical media collection, and the breadth of your taste really does stretch across all the genres. So I think realistically, all joking aside, your take on any of these things is always going to be worth hearing. So again, do hope that you're going to be back sooner rather than later.
Oh, I will. Well, as for making my grumpy videos, I just do them when I feel like them. And I spent 7 weeks spending an entire weekend for 7 weeks in a row making videos about a show which shall not be named. It's been this thing. I had to step away from the things, but I will be back. And and the goat is he's still on the lam from the authorities because of the wood chipper incident. But he's going to come back at some point soon.
Thank heaven for that, because I hate to think that Professor Dinkles ended up in some sort of casserole.
Well, no, he's still around. He checks in every day. He's very upset with the state of the world. And at some point wants to come back and, be goat-like goat things.
Yeah. Did you know that Liam Gallagher, the mostly lead singer of Oasis, there's certain Oasis songs that he can't sing, he can't perform live anymore because his voice broke due to all the powerful singing and the abuse of his vocal cords over the decade of when Oasis were originally together at the height of their sort of powers. It wouldn't surprise me at all if the same fate hasn't befell Professor Dinklage and his vocal cords.
No, there's the person who may or may not make the voice of Professor Dinkles. If we're going with the theory that Professor Dinkles isn't real, no, the person who may or may not do the voice for Professor Dinkles can still do the voice. It's very painful.
Are you trying to tell me that Liam Gallagher is actually the voice of Professor Dinkles? Is that your coded way of?
It could be.
Yeah,
maybe.
We're not going to know for certain, are we? The only way to know is to keep following Chris there on X, and obviously subscribe to his YouTube channel, and for the return, which is inevitable. It sounds like, doesn't it, John? It does. And people can catch up with you on X as well, can't they?
Yeah, I'm on X, so find me there if you want to say hello. But other than that, I'm here and I'm on Type 40 and having fun with all you guys. So thanks for having me on. It's been great.
Excellent stuff. Because as we get to know one another, we find out our tastes, don't we, Ian? And even though I've known you for a few years now, I sincerely say this. I don't often say nice things to you, do I?
No.
Sincerely, you have a way of always surprising me on these shows, particularly these kind of shows where we look at what's streaming or what's in cinemas. Because you're sometimes the things I think you're going to hate, you love, and vice versa. So it's always a pleasure talking to you about all this stuff.
Yeah, that's been good. It's always fun coming on shows like this. I love film. Film is my second love. First love, obviously, is family and friends, but my second love is movies. I can sit in the cinema all day watching good movies. Only now do I realize what good films are. In the 80s, it always used to be, the popular films like E.T. and stuff like that. But it's really funny. Only now do I realize and understand what really good movies are. So I'm hypercritical when it comes to, the movies of today, because they're not really that good, tell you the truth. There's money. It's money. It's always money why they bring this stuff back. But yeah, that's where I stand. Again, I'm sad that cinema is slowly disappearing, and it is going to disappear.
Everything has its time.
Yeah, it might be.
Maybe it's just changing into something else.
Yeah.
Maybe the collapse of Hollywood will lead to something in someone else, and if not a better way, then just the next best way, or something that we may end up enjoying eventually. I mean, it does seem to me that times are changing, and people are giving up, albeit reluctantly in some cases, but they're slowly giving up on the things that have been driving us mad for the last 10 years or so.
The thing I'm hoping for is that if cinema dies, then all these little cinemas will spring up, independent films, and then that's when, we'll have the experience back again.
Yeah,
there's people. Sorry, Chris, you go.
Oh no, I was just saying, that's what I hope for. I want independent films back. I want that experience of the 90s being back in like the small little 2 or 3 screen theaters, not the megaplex where you're taking out a mortgage just to see a crappy movie that's going to suck.
Yeah,
fair play.
And it's I was just going to say, my local comic book store, there's some people in there that they've set up like a local cinema, but they're doing all like classic stuff, like a town hall. So that's starting to come back in my area. People are starting to do little independent things like that, which is good to see.
Yeah, I know Tarantino has his own cinema, and he insists so he shows a film every Friday. He insists in having a print of that film, rather than it being digital and stuff like that. And he's shown some whoppers throughout the months in his own cinema. So there you go.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody who's been watching and listening along in the live chat there on YouTube and on Rumble and X as well, including Lee Smith, who says, now it's content, not cinema. Yeah, this is a conversation we've had several times. One of many insightful comments from everybody in the live chat there. Lots of fan mail for Professor Dinkles, I'm happy to say. Chris, yeah, obviously very, very much missed. So the fan base is still there. It's definitely still there.
He
More
doesn't
so
have
than
an-
for Venom.
He doesn't have an address right now. I know where he's hiding, but if the wood chipper thing is pretty serious. So to quote from his last video, he quote bit a guard in the bum and then threw his ass into a wood chipper at a re-education camp while he was planning his escape, and he's still in trouble.
Fabulous stuff. The legend lives on. The legend lives on. My legend sort of rolls on, if you can call it that, over on X and Instagram too, as the Spacebook, where I'm wheezing and groaning and ranting and raving about all things geeky in movies, TV, comic books, and general popular culture. Really, now and again, I stray into real life when I absolutely have to as well. So come and connect with me over on X, and who knows, you might see something you like, you might see something you don't, but results may vary, but that's where you can find me. Anyway, get more of this in your life. Lots more Spacebook content, lots more Spacebook Live. So shows like this that focus directly on movies or TV. There'll be deep dive reviews on brand new movies as well, when we can decide on the ones that we are going to see that are worth our time. And there'll be our regular shows where we're looking at the news, pop culture news in TV and movies and comics and everything else. Hopefully, this is our regular slot back on a Saturday evening UK time for more of that. People have been asking, is this going to be a regular thing? Hopefully it is. We used to do these shows, but yes, we're getting back in the rhythm now for doing them. And there's more listed shows on the way as well, concentrating on classic movies and TV shows too. So you can submit your requests as well for the films and TV shows you'd like us to look at over there on Listed. And if you hit us up in the comments with your takes on these movies and what you'd like to hear more about, genres and subgenres, we'll do our best to hit all those bases as well whenever we can. Of course, over on the Type 40 channel, you can get more Type 40 Live as well as the Type 40 podcasts. That's our dedicated Doctor Who live streams. Lots of deep dives there, regular magazine show style content. Coming up in a few days' time. In fact, it'll be about now. Depending on where you're watching this, there's our live video as well from Hooverville 15 in Derby, where we got to spend some time with fellow attendees and some of the stars of Doctor Who as well. So you can get all that stuff on the Type 40 channel as well as the regular podcasts. Thank you, everybody, again for your company. A great show to come back with. I have missed doing these, so it's all good. It's all gravy. Let us know what you'd like to see and hear more of between now and the next one. But that is it for now. We'll be back with more coverage of all out there entertainment in time. But we'll see you. We'll see you soon. Bye bye.
Hello.
Yeah.
Bye.